Well, let's hope not. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Prickly Pear Show. I'm here with ShaRon, our new co-host just for the next few days, and with the lovely Sam Matias. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit sweating. We had a situation here, hopefully trying to get everything in order. So today's topic, a big one. What are we talking about today, Sam?
Me Too.
Me Too. Can you describe Me Too? What is it all about?
Yeah, I think it's a recent movement. I haven't read the actual description that's on Wikipedia by any means, but it's a movement that is new to the world, where it allows women or any victims, I believe, of sexual assault to relate and talk about it and to come out and to change what is systematically wrong with the system right now.
I think Me Too is affecting us in a large scale. I think it's something that is amazing that people are coming out and talking about. I think it's time for women to really speak out about how they're being treated by men. But I feel like somewhat the voice is being lost. The other day, Sam and I were watching TV. We're watching CP24, and I think for about 10 minutes, we kept seeing allegations of sexual harassment on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And again, they're allegations, but what it does is it puts people in a weird place. Mm-hmm. Like bans, something that happened many years ago. And people today are afraid to start with girls, or they feel like they could say the wrong thing, or what is sexual harassment as opposed to what is not sexual harassment. Or assault. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different issues today with regards to that. Mm-hmm. The reason we have you today is clearly by just having two men. I don't feel that we can do justice for this topic if we just have two men talking about the Me Too campaign. Mm-hmm. However, you have different opinions on the Me Too campaign that I'd love to hear, because usually kind of women rally together when it comes to it, helping women out, which I think is fantastic. But at the same time, I feel like they're not being honest with themselves and they're not seeing it from our perspective.
So I'm a girl's girl,
okay.
Don't get me wrong. I am definitely the first one to help prop up a sister, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I do feel that you as a man, and both of you have the right to have this discussion without a female present. It is also a hugely negative thing that's happening and impacting your sex. Mm-hmm. And as well, I don't believe that women are the only victims in this world of sexual assaults. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an issue with men just discussing it. And I also am concerned that there are men in my life that I love. I have a father, I have a brother, I have nieces and nephews specifically, and I'm worried that some girl is going to just make an accusation and be able to ruin somebody's life just because they've maybe misperceived a situation and have cried wolf. Mm-hmm. And that in turn takes away from women who have, and men who have actually gone through a situation that is
Are there
tragic.
set boundaries? I mean, because I feel like the line is very different with a lot of different people. I feel like, for example, I have never been physical with a girl if I knew that it's not going anywhere. Or if, let's just say I put my hand on a girl and she says, please don't, I would have to take it off.
Right, story done.
But sometimes, like for example, there's a story with the PC member, right? Patrick Brown.
Correct.
And like the story was that, I think this is the story that I got, please correct me if I'm wrong, where one of the girls went to his hotel room, he wanted to kiss her, she said no, he drove her home. I don't see any problems with that.
I don't
see it as she's above the age. I think she was 19 years old.
Yes,
he's older,
verified,
right?
Yeah.
So she's 19. He took her to the room, tried to kiss her, took her home.
Okay, but took her how? Like, did he drag her, or like, did she willingly walk into the room? Like, that's also
right. But I don't think that was really a part of the story.
Well,
right?
But it should be within the context. I mean, if I end up in a room with you and you try to kiss me and I say, sorry, no, and then you drive me home, no foul.
Right. How long ago was this reported?
It's still
in the past week.
I know, but when did it break?
Oh, probably about 2.5 weeks ago. Something like that.
2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When he resigned, you mean, or this
portion? When they broke the story of the allegations.
Yeah,
yeah,
about
like
2 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Anyways, for me, it's kind of like now I'm scared to talk to people. I'm a very fun person, and when I said something in the pre-production before, where I had a meeting with an old friend of mine when I was making the movie, and she brought a friend, and they walked into we did it at the mall in the middle of the night, and I said, "Oh, you guys came clothed. I was expecting naked people," and I didn't think anything of it, and I was laughing because the girl that was there, but then I realized, wait a second, the other person doesn't know my jokes.
Correct.
She could take it as like, I'm meeting someone for the first time and he's talking to me about being naked.
Okay, so it's inappropriate.
Inappropriate, right?
Sure,
but would somebody say like sexual harassment? Sexual harassment?
I think that there's a perception of being threatened. Like, was she in danger?
No, of course not.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, listen, I've never liked to say this is what it is, because it's different for every situation, and it's very unique to the situation and the people involved. It depends also on the age. It depends also on the mental capacity of a being and things like that. So have I ever been cornered in a hallway? Absolutely. Was I able to be like, you need to back off, if not this is going to escalate and be bad?
Really? It got to that point?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. When I was younger, I actually was in a very, I can't believe I'm talking about this on live. I was about 15 and I was traveling, and we were doing a trip in Israel, and we were in the desert, and as you know, we have to have military escorts. And of course, there was a lot of cohorts. No. No. This was like pre-birthright, all of that. I'm not that old, but yeah. So, of course, there's, at night, there's like bonfires and just, lots of music and having fun. And of course, you're a young, impressionable girl. I was 15 at the time. I was one of the youngest members of the team and of the group, And one of the soldiers kind of took an interest. And of course, it's flattering and you're kind of like feeling special. And then he got forceful with me.
Forceful?
Absolutely. And I also was very innocent. I was 15 years old. So, agreeing to have my sleeping bag next to his may have been the wrong signal to send.
And also, this is an older guy, right? If he was
correct. But you know what? Older, what? Like
18, right. Okay.
Yeah, he's still a kid, yeah. Right. But yeah, he got forceful, and I don't know how I got out of that situation, but I came very, very close to being a victim of something that I don't wish on anybody.
Did you report it? I'm sorry for cutting
you
off.
No.
Why? Because I think that's where the problem is. When something like this happens, like right away, like for example,
I'll tell
5
you
years afterwards, all of a sudden you come out, that person
that's
did something to me. He won't even remember.
Say.
Who are you? He met so many kids, right? Like, it happened, report it. Say this happened.
So the reason I didn't report it was because I don't know how, and I don't know that I would. You don't really know how you're going to react until you're in that situation.
Right.
But I was very calm, and I said, if you do this, there are going to be very serious repercussions. And you may want to just take a second before you force me to do something against my will and think about it.
Now, you're talking, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but when you talk about he was like in the midst of forcing you, was this verbally or was this
No, this was
physically.
This was physically.
Guys, what are you doing to us?
No, but wait a second.
Good guys here.
No, but wait a second. I was lucky enough that I had the whatever to say something that kind of non-physically slapped him into reality, and the next and then I took my stuff and I was able to leave, and then the next morning he came to me and apologized, and he was very contrived, and he said, I'm really sorry, I don't know what got over me, but he never pushed past it.
Okay.
Now I don't know if it's because if I had screamed, we would have been easily discovered or anything like that. Had it been maybe a different situation, maybe he would have been braver to push that envelope a little bit more. But yeah, why would I report it? Nothing happened. And I knew after that day, something happened. Something happened.
Right.
You're right. But it was something where I no longer felt in danger. I was able to remove myself from that situation. And I was now no longer going to be in contact with this person. So again, I think there's an element of danger that needs to be considered. Is my job in danger? Is my life in danger? Is my physical being in danger? My mental being in danger? Like all of those things are.
So my question is it just danger? I mean, let's just say right now, there's a reason why I bring this up.
Yeah.
A smaller man approaches you.
Right.
Someone who is like, I don't know, weighs about $110, and you know clearly that you can beat him up,
Right.
and you don't feel like you're really in danger.
Right.
But he comes and touches you inappropriately. What do you do then? Do you look at him and say, "Oh, because he's small, it's okay," or
No, that's
because
not
because
okay.
the reason I'm asking about danger, like for me, I have a sister, and I was, the only person I've ever hit in my life was my sister because we're siblings, right? But I've never ever raised my hands on a girl. Never plan on, and I just can't understand someone who would raise their hand on a girl. But I know there are people that do, or at least they're a little bit more physical. So I get the idea of danger, but what if you don't feel that they're dangerous, but they're still sexually harassing you? What is that line? Or is it different for everybody? That's something that
I think, is it also a physical issue when we're talking about men, or is it a like societal dominance issue?
I was going to say it's usually not about sex.
Okay.
I feel rape and assault and all that stuff usually is not about the actual portion of the sex part. It's like a symptom of it. But when I say in danger, I was no longer in danger. I didn't feel like I was in a situation where I couldn't just move on from it. So that's what I mean by the danger part in that specific event. If a guy that is smaller than me and tries to get handsy with me, I don't care if he's 7 feet tall or 2 feet tall. He doesn't have the right to touch me unless I invite him to do so.
100%.
So that everybody has that's the foundation. Yeah, everybody agrees on that standard.
By the way, is it the same standard for guys and girls?
It should be.
Should be.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying, oh my God, like I didn't like it, but
it should be.
Right? But I've many times have I been touched by girls inappropriately, and I just had to kind of like laugh it off and
yeah,
and play
that's
with
not
it.
welcomed. Yeah, that's an issue.
Oh.
Regardless of your sex.
But it won't be considered the same.
No,
It should be.
but it won't be.
No, but
why,
it should
why
be.
isn't it? That's
I
the
don't.
question.
But that's
I have
exactly
theories,
it.
but I don't know.
Go for it. What's your theory?
No, well, like the obvious theory. I mean, the obvious gender distinction being that men and women are different. So it's a different standard for men being approached by women or being.
So one is welcomed and one isn't?
One is welcomed.
One is flattering?
Not one is welcomed. One is assumed to be welcomed.
Exactly.
But if we're talking about equality,
right?
I mean, but here's the thing. This is another. I mean, now we're getting into a different thing about this equality business.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're equals, and
We
I
don't.
like. And I don't
We're
mean.
not.
I don't mean this. I don't mean this with all the
No.
all the respect. I mean, I'm a man and you're a woman. We are different. We are different.
But our rights are the same. That's where the equality comes.
Right.
So you
of course.
have the same right,
Right.
and the equal right to say that's inappropriate touching as I do. And the recourse for that should be the same for a man or a woman. You know, about this movement that's happening and also everything that's happening in the film industry right now, that we're hearing these horrible things that have happened for a bajillion years, it seems like. Some accusations are 20 plus years old.
Right.
We have to also remember that women are not the only victims. There are men.
Mm.
Men are also capable of being victimized just as much as a woman is.
The problem is, I think it's more difficult for us to take a man's allegations or complaints seriously.
Why?
Because we don't typically react the same way. We don't feel the same empathy for a man because we're like.
I'll disagree with you, and I'll change one part of your statement. I think that there's less empathy if it's a woman against a man, but if it's a man against a man, like if it's man on man crime, I think then that is also different.
Obviously, yeah. No, I was referring specifically to man and woman.
I have a funny story for you. It's not funny because it was about harassment, but it happened to me. There was a girl that I met many years ago at some event, and she developed some sort of a crush. I was flattered, but that's where I wanted to leave it. Somehow she ended up getting my phone number. So not even like, Facebook, but like my actual phone number. She started calling me. And I said, hey, thank you. What am I going to do? Please don't call me, right? So I said, I'm sorry. I just didn't want it to be that way. I didn't want to be rude in the beginning.
You don't have to say it that way, but why not?
Well, I said at first, and I said, listen, I'm kind of dating somebody right now, and I'd rather you don't call me, and if that's okay. So, long story short, I started going, like I used to go to work, and she found out where I work, and she calls me up. She's like, by the way, I'm outside your job. I baked you some cookies. And I was like, what are you doing here? Like, I told you, like, not to follow me. Now, it's funny. In my mind, I'm thinking more, what happens if the girl that I'm seeing will see that I'm with this person,
right,
as opposed to, oh my God, I feel threatened.
This is a single white female.
Right. But it started happening over and over again. And it got to a point where, like, I literally told her, listen, like, please, like, stop it. Like, you're making me feel really uncomfortable, and I need you to stop. And she didn't for, like, a long time. And it's funny because I told my girlfriend this. I was like, listen, I have a stalker. And she laughed in my face. And I felt so stuff. I mean, of course, there's going to be other people laughing in my face, but when we're talking about the equality here, and she laughed. She's like, really, you can't handle another girl? You can't tell her? I'm like, what am I going to do? Punch her in the face and tell her to stop? It's like, well, just call the police. I'm like, call the police and say that some girl's baking me cookies, you know, sitting outside my work. There's just something about it that is very.
Yeah, it's like men are expected to be able to handle themselves in those situations.
But when you say handle myself, like, of course I can handle myself. I can punch her in the face. I can handle myself if she threatens me.
You're definitely not allowed to do that.
Right, but I'm saying, like, what when you say handle yourself, what am I supposed to be doing?
No, not supposed to. Expected.
No, but my question is,
subconsciously within
what
society.
What do I do? So I'm asking maybe the people out there, what do I do to get her to stop? Like, do I actually call the police and say that she's stalking me?
But I think that might be part of the problem, is that men feel silly doing something like that.
Yes, when she laughed at me, my girlfriend was like, well, you know.
And are police going to take a male complaining about that seriously? I don't know if it's the same
Right, but even the idea of calling the police and saying something like that.
But that's it. That's
or like I so
Is it emasculating? Is that the problem?
I don't know. I just felt.
Listen, a lot of sexual assaults are not reported. And I'm
Somebody
talking...
says, don't punch her in the face. Of course I'm not going to punch her in the face. Silly people.
Yeah, no, we're not. I
right.
mean, no.
I wouldn't necessarily feel emasculated. I might feel like I should be able to handle it myself. Not because I'm a man, but because... unless it's gotten to the point where it's just very extreme. I don't know how extreme you've explained it in your situation, but...
I used to get calls and text messages on a regular basis. She got her friends to call me from other numbers. Like, it became like a big. Like, I had to block her and her friends on Facebook at some point or another. Like, it was like about a half a year of that. Like, of this girl stalking me, and like literally, I don't know if it's a story to tell, but
don't fight it. She probably liked it. I'm just kidding.
No, she even slept with somebody that I knew, and she was telling the guy that, by the way, I wish that it was him. Like, that's where it got. I know. Like, it was serious stuff. Now, again, at no point in time was I scared of it, but it was very, very annoying. And
would you say it was interfering with your life?
My everyday. Oh yeah.
Okay. So
I would get like a call at like 3:00 in the morning, just saying, you know, like just was thinking about you. You know, something simple.
How are you still getting
these
calls
after blocking her?
No. Now we're talking afterwards. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Once I blocked her. I blocked her friend. I blocked Facebook. Like, I literally. She started calling me from other numbers. I didn't want to change my number completely.
Calling the cops at that point is justified.
No, but that's the thing. Like, it took me 6 months, like, until I was able to get rid of her. And at no point in time did I say to myself, I really got to deal with this. So I think there is a difference in terms of equality here. Well, I don't know.
I think it's situational. I think that if she was in a power position, let's say, and you worked under her maybe, and like your job maybe was threatened, and she was cornering you in different situations, physically, constantly, was in your space, I think that maybe you would have felt differently, and maybe you would have had the police intervene a lot sooner, or maybe gotten another job and left, right? I think it's really important that we talk about the situations and the context.
Here's what I was worried about, and this sounds a little bit silly. I was actually thinking that if I do something crazy like this, she might say that I touched her in some ways.
Right.
She might say that, like, I'm the one that, you know, that picked her up, or I let her on. And then again, I'm very flirtatious, so I could kind of see how, like, someone would think that.
That's the problem.
No, but again.
But that's the
so girls that flirt, you know, they should be allowed to be touched, or a girl that's showing off her boobs, she's allowed to be touched because she's showing some sort of interest.
No, it's like saying a girl got raped because she wore a miniskirt. No,
right. No.
Absolutely not.
No, so...
Absolutely not. But that's my concern, in the sense that I have men in my life, friends, family, and so on and so forth. And if they are doing something perhaps to somebody who's not happy with them, and as as a way of getting back at them, they cry sexual assault.
Right.
That to me pisses me right off, because one, that takes away from actual victims of that crime. Two, right now we don't even have due process, so never mind that conversation, because then as soon as somebody says that, you're automatically guilty in the social media trial.
No, for sure.
And that just leaks into every part of your life. And thirdly, now that is going to change the relationship between men and women. Again, there are more than men and women relationships, but I'm just saying there's going to be a huge change in relationships, because we're all going to be so uptight about just talking to each other.
And you brought that up earlier. You mentioned about crying wolf and how that's problematic. How often do you think that's happening here?
To be honest with you, I don't know. But I do believe that there are women out there that use it in divorce cases, that use it in work cases, that use it, unfortunately, to their advantage, to discredit somebody.
But the question is, why now coming out the way it has? Why the creation of Me Too? And I understand post-creation why this is happening, because if you start a trend like this, and regardless of whether it is happening or it isn't, and it obviously is for the most part, it's still a trend. You start something on Twitter, Facebook, any kind of social media, it's going to trigger a trend. So that's obviously the impetus for this, and why so many women are feeling more comfortable to come out. Why would it start now?
I think it's
why start
removing
the hashtag?
I think it's also maybe removing the shame that's related to this subject, right? Because victims are ashamed of saying that they were at one point or another a victim of such a thing, especially if it's a serious crime that was committed against them. Like, nobody wants to know that they were raped.
Right.
That's a shame.
But see, but rape, I think rape
is a
different ball game altogether. I don't think anybody here
except that sexual assault does have an umbrella.
Right, but I'm not talking about even sexual assault. Sexual harassment, which is, in my opinion, is completely different.
Can we look up the definition of harassment?
Please, you can take your phone. Yeah, I mean, my problem is that, like, I really feel
You're gonna be
that
here
I
all
can't
day
be
with that
myself.
definition, though.
Sorry, what?
You're gonna be here all day reading that definition, because there's so many different.
No, I want a legal definition.
Legal. I'm sure there's more than one.
Yeah. It depends on what country you're looking at too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you're in Saudi Arabia, 3 men have to be there to witness the rape from happening before. It's just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, no. Like, again, as I said, when it comes to rape, when it comes to sexual assault, I get it. But I'm going to mention something that's maybe a little bit weird. But like, how many women or men have been there and the guy was just like on top of the girl and he's just like, oh, just the tip, right? I know that we said we might not talk about that, but it happens a lot. Right? And it's like, so what? She could say, oh my God, like the guy had sex with me, uninvited, or how does it?
Or if they're regretting it.
Right. Sorry?
If they regret it after the fact, like they went in and maybe they were a little bit tipsy, or they just, they had a poor night of judgment.
Yeah.
And it's like, you sexually assaulted me.
Right. I don't know if somebody ever told me this, like sexual assault, like if I'm ever with a girl and she used those words, I'd be freaked out. Like, it would scare the hell out of me.
So I don't have signal.
I don't have signal? Okay. You don't have signal for Wi-Fi?
Yeah, no, it's weird. No, I didn't put my phone on Wi-Fi. But anyways, it doesn't matter. See if Sean can help us out. Yeah,
you can use your LTE. It's okay.
I think also that it is concerning. But that goes back to my point. If it is being misused, it takes away from the actual intention of the movement, or the intention of providing a platform for people to share their stories in a safe environment, and to also empower victims of sexual assault to talk about it and to maybe band together to change what is systematically wrong with their system. That's a concern that I have.
Why don't we talk about best case scenario and worst case scenario when it comes to this Me Too campaign?
Yeah.
Because the best case scenario is, men and women are not going to be like, hey, we have to be more careful, with what we do. Like what we were able to get away with before, we can't get away with now. Like, I'll give you an example. I worked once at this office, and somehow I wore like a shirt that made me look a little flamboyant. And I said, this makes me look gay. and there was a gay guy in the office, and he's like, "That's awful what you just said." And I said, "What did I say?" He's like, "Did you say gay in the positive way?" And I was like, "Well, I meant feminine." He's like, "I'm not feminine, and I'm gay." And then it became a conversation. So I was like, okay, you know what? Never again am I going to say this at work.
That
but
way,
never again am I going to say this thing at work that could
Yeah.
possibly be looked at as something completely different. And I kind of learned my lesson with that one really quick before somebody said that Ron was saying something horrible. Oh, our next guest is coming. You can turn off the Facebook Live for now because you're now going to be our guest. Take off your boots. So we have Karen here. We have another girl who's going to be joining us because clearly we didn't want to make this just two men and just one opinion.
No tag teaming.
I need you to move closer to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, look at me.
Come on.
Yes. So you're going to be comfortable. Welcome, Karen.
What's up?
So we have Karen Benz here. Karen, how do you want to be referred to as on
Karen.
Karen. Okay, fantastic. So we have Karen here. Karen,
Oh.
clearly you've been writing a lot of stuff.
I know. So hopefully the
So
police
why
can
don't
see
you?
me.
Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you wrote, or because clearly you've been listening to our discussion.
My opinions are very different from both of you.
Okay.
Really?
Fantastic.
Yeah, my
Do it.
opinions are so bad from you.
Fantastic.
No, do it.
What?
The trick.
I'm gone.
No, just do this. Trust me.
No, just do
How
it.
do you
Trust-
know this?
trust
You've been
me.
watching your mom too.
I'm a filmmaker working with actors, so
Done.
it's still there. But whatever.
It's a little
Nobody
bit
can see
fine.
it.
Do one of those.
All right, whatever.
So you're-
Hi, how are you?
So your opinions are different than ours. Can you elaborate on that?
I think, okay, so we were talking about sexual harassment, right? You
Yeah.
were looking up at the definition. I
Yeah,
didn't,
but
I didn't
we don't
hear.
have Wi-Fi. So.
Oh, you
Did
don't
you
have
find?
Wi-Fi?
I have no Wi-Fi either.
Actually.
Why do you need Wi-Fi? You guys have LTE. Why do you
No.
need
No,
Wi-Fi?
no, no,
Wi-Fi,
no, not
I
Wi-Fi.
have no
Service.
connection.
It's
You have
okay.
no
I got it.
connection.
I got
I
it.
had it
My
before. I
phone's
don't
Got
think
it.
it's where I'm sitting.
For some reason.
All right, maybe I'm stealing all the signals.
I
from
think
you
so.
guys.
I think so.
Okay, so we're specifically talking about harassment. We're not talking about rape and assault.
Right, I think we have to take that out of the
Okay.
equation. At least this is my opinion on it.
I think everything is valid when ladies have an issue or women have an issue when it comes to rape and assault. It's a whole other ballgame.
Right,
Fair
a
enough.
whole
I
other
think
ballgame.
now this whole Me Too movement has to do more of harassment and a voice and their sense of empowerment that they have over men and what they can say now. I think now this whole Weinstein thing, that all had to do with like harassment and what he was doing in front of these ladies
Right.
and whatever it is. I don't think he was necessarily raping them, was he?
I don't think there was rape involved.
Because that's how it all
from-
started with Weinstein, right?
I don't know if it started with Weinstein, but I'm sure that like
We
he
can
was.
go back to like Bill Cosby.
We can go
Or
back
Bill
to anybody.
Clinton.
We can go back to Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
I mean, we have to be honest here, right?
Yeah.
We could go back to like John F.
No,
Kennedy.
every time, of
Marilyn
course.
Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe,
Yeah, I
dead.
know.
Wow, why? How did she die? Right?
Yeah.
No, but the question is, when we're talking about rape, conversation.
It changes. It's
Cannot- we
violent.
cannot-
It's a whole other.
Absolutely, but my word is the harassment, the sexual harassment. Like if you take a look and
Catcalling and.
Yeah,
whatever it
exactly,
is.
like there
But
was a
I
girl-
love catcalling.
right, but
Why
I
makes
saw
you feel sexy?
I want to bring that up actually.
I saw a
I
video
don't think harassment
of
is
a guy like an older dude like who's like a construction worker or something like that working and he saw this black girl just because what it was
Whatever.
and he apparently whistled at her and she started filming him and she put it on she's
I
like
would have blown him a kiss, a wink, and
she
kept
put
my
she
day
put the
going.
camera on him and he's like, hey lady, I was just complimenting you.
you.
He's like, do I know you? Like you don't have any right. I'm gonna call the police. And I was just like, holy crap! Like I mean, it's just becoming this
I
insane
think it's the
thing.
snowflake generation that's coming up now. Where everybody,
We are snowflakes.
Nobody can have.
No.
Nobody has thick skin anymore. If somebody harasses me, I have a mouth.
But how is that harassing you?
It's not, but I'm saying, but you have a mouth. You have a
But-
choice either to continue walking through like the
That's what I'm
scaffold,
saying.
continue walking past
Ignore
the
it,
stars.
Remember a few
acknowledge it,
months
or
ago
walk away.
That girl on Facebook, or was it Instagram? I don't know. She was posting a bunch of pictures. She claimed that she was getting harassed daily on the street. That was bothering her. She was getting.
Remember that.
She was getting harassed because
Not
she
harassed. She was getting catcalled. She had a problem with catcalling. And
Okay, so take a different route if it bothers you.
No,
If
not
you guys
diff-
are not doing it.
not a different route. It's just like
Was she being cornered?
no. The problem was it was a catcall project. So what happened was every
Yeah, I've
time a
seen
guy would like whistle at her or make any kind of comment about the way she looked. These were mostly older guys,
Uh-huh.
not all old. But
Oh,
not her
because
age.
it's not the group that she welcomes it from? Is
right.
that
But
the
that
issue?
happens a lot. Yeah, for sure.
But whatever
For sure.
the point is,
Whatever, a cat call's a cat
she
call.
would take selfies
Uh-huh.
with these guys, and
Yeah.
she would post them online
Oh, and out
in order
them.
to shame them.
Wait, so she shamed them?
She was trying to shame them, and, she would post a caption underneath with whatever they said to her, and it was the intent was to shame them into humiliation, embarrassment, so that it would stop.
There's a trend I'm noticing. Women are, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Back in the day, women used to get married at like, early 20s, even like
18.
late teens, right?
15, 16.
And today you're seeing a lot of single women, like 30 plus 40s. And I think it's going to make it worse and worse by having these like sexual harassment claims where guys would really be afraid to come and talk to a woman. Like back in the day, a guy would buy you a drink, right? And if he bought you a drink and you accepted the drink, he's supposed to talk to you because he didn't buy you a drink just because of anything. He wanted to have that conversation.
No, I'm supposed to talk to him because I accepted the drink.
You accepted
yeah?
the drink. Well,
But
allow him
wait
to
a
talk to
second,
you.
but
Allow him to
that's
talk to you.
right.
But that's contractual a little bit, yeah? Like, I'm buying you a drink
Yeah.
because I'd like your company.
Exactly.
And if you accept the drink, that is you accepting that I want your company and you want it
There
back.
are many women
Somebody
out
asks
there
you,
that
"Hey,
would
can I
accept
sit
the drink.
here? Can I sit here? Can I borrow your chair? Whatever.
Right.
Can I sit here?" You're inviting him to sit down and talk to you. You can't not.
No, well,
say,
not everybody sees it that way. They're like, I'm just being nice to allow them to sit there.
The question is, unwritten rule or not, social code or not, does it matter? Like, does it? Who cares whether somebody sits down next to you? And
Then you
talks to
use
you?
your
Do you-
voice and say it makes you uncomfortable. But
Right. Why do you have to act like it's a legal problem or if it's an encroachment
not.
issue, a space
We are in
invasion
agreement
issue?
that it is not.
Now,
Right.
is it because you're at a bar and it's expected that people do? I mean, why do people go to a bar? To drink and to pick up, right? I mean, I don't know why else.
True.
Why else would people go to a bar?
or eat chicken wings with my husband.
Right, but that's not really a bar. That's a chicken wing place. And we go there on Tuesday, not on a Saturday night.
Well,
at
actually,
12
this is
o'clock.
pretty cool because you have a perspective of somebody who's in her 30s and
Yeah.
married,
Right.
and one who is in her 30s and not married.
Right.
I'm single, guys. Anyways,
She's very nice.
I'm picking up. No. So,
And
I
she
think,
won't report you, so that's a good thing already. There's a good start. All right.
Well, it depends on what you do. So, I think that if I'm going to a bar to, first of all, if I'm going to dress a certain way, it's because I want attention. Any woman that says I am dressing up for me, listen, I like my cleavage just fine, but guess what? I get to see it all the time. So if I'm wearing a low-cut shirt, it's because I want somebody to pay attention to it. I don't care what
that was
anybody
exactly
says.
the point I was going to bring up. What do you say to women?
He's just
Like,
afraid of saying it. Why were you afraid of not bringing it up first?
I was waiting for the window.
Okay. I gave
Yeah,
you the
because-
window.
because again, it's he's doing it exactly. He's doing exactly what a man is supposed to be doing. We feel that there's certain things we can't talk about until we hear the invite.
I was actually just waiting for the lull in the
Leg
conversation.
Oh,
Okay.
really? But it
But,
wasn't
yeah.
because you were afraid?
Absolutely not. Has
Because
absolutely
we're
nothing to
kind
do
of
with that.
powerhouses.
But it was like the perfect segue from that that issue I brought up with that girl. I think she was like 20 years. She couldn't have been more than 20 years old. And a lot of the backlash she got wasn't just for the project itself or having a problem with being catcalled. It was the people asking her, as people tend to do, you know, if you have a problem with any kind of unwanted attention, why do you even dress like that? And she would dress in revealing clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
She has the right to.
of course she has the right to, but the most common response is, I don't even dress like this to get attention. This isn't for you. This is for me. But
Yeah, I have an issue with that.
I have an issue with that too, because do you dress like this in your house? Would you
Probably.
dress like... No. Would you not... Most of what women would say is, this is what makes me comfortable. It makes me comfortable to dress in tight clothing, short shorts, and really do women... I'm going to ask you, would you dress that way in the house for yourself? Or would you dress in
I have no
sweatpants?
Me going out, I have to wear Spanx. I'm not comfortable in Spanx. I'm sorry. I have to look good when I go out. At home, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. That's
And it's
BS.
not a rhetorical question, because I
It's-
really
it's-
don't
But, okay,
know.
but I'll give you
BS.
something.
No, it's BS.
Most of the time I get touched by women. Not that I don't like it,
Yeah.
but most of the time I get touched by women is when I wear a suit.
Touched how?
Touched like this.
Listen.
No,
but
I don't
there
do
are
it to
social-
any girl. No.
that's not true. There are social cues where, let's say, it's like, "Hey, how are you?" It's
No,
just
no, no.
like, you know, it's a.
No.
Or,
I know the difference.
Or please go ahead and I have my hand
Yeah.
gently, like there are different
It's a
social
caress.
Sorry?
It's
It's
a
a caress. But
I'm not-
again,
I mean, I'm
I
not-
don't mind it.
I'm not
I
pinching
like it.
your junk, right? Like
No.
I'm not grabbing your junk.
No.
I
Too
think
bad, but no.
I would have an
Right,
issue with
right.
that though if women were
just freely grabbing junk, just like I have a problem with men grabbing boobs, butt, or
But who
any
does
other
that? But who
appendage
does that? I
on
mean,
my
who comes
body.
and like grabs your boob? Like nobody.
It happens.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's disgusting. That's
absolutely.
I used to grab my friend's boob.
Well, you're girls.
That's different.
Girls are like.
No, girl.
No,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
and I have a picture of me grabbing yours.
That's right. They're
And then your comment back to me, and we were like, what, 18? And your comment was to me, now I can sue you for sexual assault.
Oh, I said it as a
Oh,
joke.
really?
Right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
No, what I said was.
And I said,
Imagine
you
if
wish or
that
something.
picture went
Right,
viral.
right.
Right. Of a fun time we had like a
Correct.
chicken wing place on a Sunday.
Right.
And I put that picture of you touching my
Like
private,
full on grabbing you,
me.
behind you, yeah.
I'd be like, hey, here's proof of like
Right.
her touching me, and if I
Right.
say it, that can get you to.
But that's context.
That's it. I could say like I didn't let her do that. Like the guy took a picture. I felt
You're smiling.
I felt embarrassed. I'm smiling because I'm like, what do I do in this situation?
Cornered
Right.
him there.
You
I
know?
cornered
You
him.
did.
Right.
You got him. Burn.
Bird.
And
Guys, I
also-
can turn this around however you want.
But that's a
But
problem.
no one's ever gonna believe me.
But that's a problem. That's a problem. People are turning things around for what purpose?
That's my point. Are they trying to make a point? Are they doing it to really make a difference? Doing
A
it
little
for
bit of
themselves?
both.
We
I
live in the selfie world today where everybody's kind of like taking pictures of themselves. They want to be out there. They want their stories to be relevant. I mean, we have a show right now.
I do that. I mean, I post things on Instagram or Facebook, and it's sometimes a picture, but it's never usually below the shoulders.
Okay, the whole Kim Kardashian thing, and then she started doing this whole where she posted a naked picture of herself last year, and then everybody was backlashing her, saying that, oh, you have kids, like how can you post naked pictures of yourself?
That I don't care.
And then so here's my situation. You're putting yourself out there. You're showing yourself naked pictures. It doesn't excuse the fact, okay, I post a naked picture of myself. It doesn't excuse your behavior. It doesn't give you the right to come and rape me or to sexually harass me.
No.
However,
But you see, harassment. I want to know about the harassment.
However, I'm not making a really good case for myself by putting a
No,
naked picture
Karen,
out
I
there.
disagree with you.
Are
That's
you
again,
serious?
Yes, it is the mini skirt. She wore a mini skirt and she deserved to be raped. I
Wait,
don't
but
know.
rape-
I'm not saying rape. I'm saying
Stop with the
comments.
rape.
We're talking about
Stop it.
comments
You're
and
making me feel
harassment.
uncomfortable here.
We're
on the
talking about
couch.
comments.
I'm going to take it back a level. If you are posting something on social media and you get a social comment, guess what? That's par for the course.
But that's what I'm saying.
Is that
Period.
considered harassment?
No.
A social comment?
No.
I mean, does anybody consider that harassment? Or are we
I don't
talking
know.
about?
I don't know. Possibly.
I have my own personal situation with that, but it's a long story. I'm not going to get into it. But
Go
for
say
another
we're
time.
here.
Well,
We got time.
I posted something online, which was a response to someone who was at a party, and I knew these people, and it was someone talking about what they wore to a party, and they dressed as a certain comic book character.
Okay.
Probably revealing.
And they didn't dress. Thank you.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
I
I didn't
didn't-
say
Harley Quinn.
probably.
Okay.
So it was
Suicide
Joker.
Squad.
Oh, the
Jokers,
pink.
yeah.
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 I don't watch.
And she actually showed a picture of herself dressed that way.
Great.
Was not revealing. I don't think anybody was dressed revealing at this particular party, and I wasn't there. So I commented on it, and we were having a little bit of a there was a bit of a thread going.
Right.
And I made this joke where I actually posted a picture of actual. It wasn't.
Harley Quinn, the actress?
It was actual. No, not the actress.
Oh.
It was a deviant art picture. So
Okay.
someone's interpretation of the comic book character.
Okay.
And the worst you could say about it is that it was scantily clad.
Okay.
So not nude,
Okay.
short shorts,
Okay.
halter top, covered up though with a jacket.
All right.
And so I forgot where I was going with this.
Well,
You posted
so-
that.
Well, what happened?
So
What was the
I
reaction?
made the a comment. It would have been. You look good. It would have been nice if you had gone like this, though.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I see.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was-
Yeah.
yeah.
Could find together.
Yeah, and I got a. Why are you smiling? I got a.
'Cause you got- right.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Um,
I'm in the middle. Don't
No, I'm smiling because,
And-
yeah.
Yeah. There were worse, for all intents and purposes, there were worse pictures
Comment.
I could have. No, worse
Oh.
pictures I could have posted. I posted that one in particular because it looked the most like the way the person was actually dressed.
That's your line. That's your line. They have their own line. And
Right.
plus does she know you, the person?
Yes, she knew me very well.
Okay, so she knows she knows you.
But I wouldn't even normally make a comment like that. I was making it because I thought it was funny, and it was online. I thought it was relevant.
Right.
It was like relatable.
Was she upset, or were other people upset?
You know what? At least one other person, no, a couple other people were upset, but I saw that she liked those people's comments, so I could see that she agreed.
So that wasn't welcomed, basically.
Yeah.
But I got kind of like an earful or a message full of kind of
Shaming.
feminist
They shamed them
backlash.
That is
That-
not feminist backlash, I'm sorry to say.
Whatever kind of backlash.
Okay, so what do you want
that's
to what
how
do you want to call
interpret
it? 'Cause
Backlash.
backlash?
Yeah.
I just think they picked on you just because. I don't
I-
think it had anything to do with.
Yeah.
I wonder if you were like the captain of the football team,
Would
if
they-
she would have said the
Exactly,
same.
it's
I'm
true.
just I'm being honest here.
That's what I said.
I
before.
wonder if like because you said you weren't invited.
That's what
I'm
I
playing
said.
off
weren't
of
invited to what?
the party.
No, he
he
didn't
didn't
go.
go.
He didn't go
I
to the
didn't go.
party.
It wasn't
Jeez,
even in
don't
this country.
demote him for
so.
that.
Oh, whoa! You're shaming me now. You didn't come to the party. I don't
It was
know,
in a
maybe-
different country. Let's say that.
No,
Okay,
he
got it,
couldn't
got
go
it.
to the party.
So I
Got
couldn't
it.
go.
Different
Are you
time.
invited to other parties after that?
Oh my God, you're so mean.
No, I'll tell you why. It's because
I would have been invited to the party if I were there.
Okay, no, the reason I bring this up is because I feel that if a guy looks a certain way, women can allow him to kind of do a lot more than if they're not interested at all.
That's because
And
if it's either wanted or not wanted.
But even
I
if
said
it wasn't
that
wanted,
before.
but even if it's not,
I said that. Listen, this is my opinion, and you are all welcomed to disagree with me. A compliment is a compliment. An asshole's an asshole.
okay. Compliment.
Yeah.
The other day, I posted something online.
Yeah.
I wanted to, of course,
Yeah.
get people to start talking. By the way, a lot of stuff I do is to get people talking. It's not necessarily my opinion. I just like to see what people say. You guys
Yeah.
know this.
Yeah.
But it was the one with Ashley Judd,
Oh,
right at the
God.
airport.
That was ridiculous.
And, like the guy was like, hey, sweetheart, right? And she was dressed a certain way. And he complimented her dress. And it's like, what did you do wrong? And I got like responses from people and they said, oh, you don't know what it's like to be a woman and being harassed. And I was like, well, yeah, you win that argument. I don't know what it's like to be a
delivery
woman.
driver.
But you know what?
He
I'd
comes
love
in
to be
every
complimented.
single day. The dude is married. He knows I'm married. My kids' pictures are clearly plastered all over the wall at
Yeah.
work. He comes in and he's like, oh, hey, Karen, you look lovely today. What a beautiful smile.
Yeah.
And then another day, he'll come in and be like, what happened to you? Are you sick?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
Right.
I have no makeup or anything.
Right.
Do you understand? I don't take it personal. He's my
What?
delivery dude. Same thing as the guy at the security checkout with Ashley Judd. He's just saying hi, saying hello.
That pissed me
like,
off.
like, come on, you're
That
taking.
really
No, but
You're
if you looked
like-
at the notes, if you saw like the thread that was created, like there were people who were literally like telling me, you don't understand what she's going through,
Okay,
blah, blah, blah. And I'm
so-
like, you're right.
So this
You're
is
right, I
something
don't know.
that
But-
this is something that we spoke pre going live, and it's true that men don't necessarily. It's not that they don't understand; is that they don't necessarily have a lens when they are looking at a situation. So
Right.
you may not hesitate or have a second thought about walking out of your house at a certain time or
Mhm.
going a certain place.
Right.
I, as a woman, by myself, may,
Yeah.
right? And I could be a black belt, it doesn't matter. I'll still have that lens. But that's just because that's what it is, right? But it doesn't mean that you don't understand what it's like to be coerced or harassed or anything like that. It's just a different perspective of I am not going to put myself in a situation that I cannot get out of. So going into a dark alley with some guy that I don't really know well, why am I going there? Obviously, there's something attached to it.
Right.
Do I deserve anything? Absolutely
No.
not.
Yeah.
Can I be selfish and go take this back a step
Please.
back to my story?
Oh, yeah,
How
absolutely.
dare you? But go
Yeah,
ahead, yes, of
well,
course.
My apologies.
I'm
Go
a little
ahead.
bit needy. She's this person also. Both people, all the people who are involved in this, also happen to be friends with someone who I know who also posts porn on Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, good lord.
So apparently they have no problem with that. Actual porn.
Wait,
Yeah.
the one that was dressed as Harley Quinn post porn?
No.
No, she's
but
friends with somebody.
She's
that-
friends with like good friends with someone. Who,
Is that a male or a female that's doing
It's
the
a male.
posting?
male?
Did he make it personal about somebody or just post it? 'Cause I
No,
think
he
that-
just
I didn't even know you
posts.
could do that.
Right, but I don't think if it was, maybe it would have changed if he did it about somebody.
Okay.
Like if he would have said to her, by the way, you look like this person in
Oh,
the
so
porn.
not objectifying her.
Right.
The
'Cause
Harley
this was
Quinn.
about-
Here was the problem.
But-
It was they made it very general and broad about not objectifying women
Yeah.
because they brought a very feminist perspective from it, where it's like even posting this kind of stuff, and they didn't specify what kind of stuff, but I assume they had a problem with what I posted, was problematic and objectifies women, and that's why I shouldn't post.
How did you respond? May I ask, like, how you responded? Like, when you saw,
respond?
because in my opinion, they cornered you. They made you feel uncomfortable. Did you even get an opportunity to say, hey?
Yes.
What did you say?
Well, I ended up getting the last word because I responded once, they responded back, I responded the last time, and that was the end of the conversation.
What was the response?
It was just defensive.
Okay, but what did you say? Did you say, hey, taking out of
Chill.
context, I was just saying that
Chill.
this is what this looks like? Or
Anything you can imagine.
And she is supposed to be a sexy character, from my understanding, right?
I think so.
So she's not supposed to be like, you know, like an even Catwoman who has like all leather is sexy, but not revealing. But she's supposed to be a sexy character,
Yeah.
right? So she should accept, not as a compliment, but maybe not make a...
Like I said,
Should she have made a big deal at all,
wasn't
or
even
just allow it to
scantily
pass?
It was barely
What if he
scantily
had
clad.
said, instead of saying you should have gone like this, instead of saying you look much better than this?
Oh, she could have even taken it worse.
What?
Are you trying to
No,
say I don't
no.
look good?
He's saying,
No.
you look better than this picture that I'm
Oh.
posting, is what she's saying.
They didn't.
You
they,
look better.
They didn't explain the problem they had with it.
Yeah.
They just said, "I shouldn't be posting this." Yes, I shouldn't be posting this, and you're making people in the office or in the workplace uncomfortable, and women.
You work with her? Because
I used to.
Used to. Okay, because that changes.
Yeah.
Working like there's like,
Oh, if I tell you what happens in my office,
right. No, but do you agree that like
the level of
there's a workplace
inappropriateness that happens.
right now they're coming up with
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
our very nice prime minister is coming up with this thing about that sexual harassment or harassment outside of the workplace counts the same as at the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So
like if a coworker outside,
right, like if you did something
it's related-
outside, if you did something outside, you still have to follow.
Of
the work.
course, because the relationships
so.
are intact. Of course,
No. Wait,
the work relationships are intact,
No,
whether
no.
it's in the office or outside of the office.
Okay, if I may, I was dating my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought her to work with me at
Yeah.
a completely different office.
Okay.
We were together for 8 years.
Okay.
You're telling me that I have to treat her the same way as I treat her at work?
No, I don't think that's what the intent is.
No, I don't. I think
No.
they're saying like if you
Between
and I work together,
coworkers.
if we're coworkers,
Yeah.
right, and you do something to me outside, or you
No, I don't think it's to the coworkers. I think it's how you act outside. You have to use. I think that's what it is. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong.
pretty sure. I'm pretty
It's
sure
a
it has to do
coworker
with
to
like.
coworker thing, I think.
No,
that-
what makes more sense is like I've seen people get fired when they talk shit about like their company
Their boss,
or their
of
or
course.
whatever. It is.
About the boss.
Yeah, or the company itself or something like because I mean you still represent a certain
Of course.
company out there. Like I honestly, if my employee said something about my company, she'd be out the door in a second.
100%.
100%. I don't care. I'd use any excuse.
But
to
if
go.
she was to do something, like I don't know,
you say for
she
harassment?
decided to write a comment like that, where you didn't agree with, would she
It's
be
not-
held accountable?
No, because she's not representing the company. However, her
She's not representing the company.
no, but if
But
she's
isn't that what the new law is about?
I don't think so. This is where I'm having an issue. If somebody out there can maybe clarify for us what the new
I think you still
proposed-
should be accountable. Like I mean, if you're doing things that are completely inappropriate,
First of
socially
all-
inappropriate,
Well, define inappropriate.
Illegal. Why socially inappropriate?
illegal, 100%. You should be accountable for it. Why should you be representing?
Listen,
you work for sick kids.
Mm.
Let's say whatever you work for sick kids, and you're doing something that's, I don't know, you're like stripping in for like some sort of charity event or something.
Wait
like
a
that.
second.
Like, I mean,
Wasn't there a story in the news of a woman who was a sheriff and she was a dom, like in her past life, she was a dominatrix, and she got fired?
I don't
well, I don't
understand
know about the
that.
past life thing. The past life thing, I don't think.
You're
should
bringing
come
up
into
something
effect.
you're bringing up something that isn't illegal, like stripping.
But that's
Like-
what I'm saying, right?
But there's a certain decorum that you carry. Like I mean, if you're in politics, there's a certain decorum that you still have to keep in your public persona.
But we know about politics. Like politics is different than
That's an
anything else.
expectation, though.
Yeah, there are different things.
You
Okay, well,
have
if
a
you
moral
work-
obligation. To
Like I mean,
uphold
Bill
a certain
Clinton had
lifestyle if you're
two
in
terms,
certain jobs.
right? And again, I was more of a Democrat back then. But let's be honest about it. He had 2 terms, and before he even came into office, all the allegations that were against him from all these women. Today, there's no way that he could be elected. You know, they were talking about impeaching him at that time with just the
They
Monica,
tried.
right? But nothing happened. This is the guy who was in control of the country or the free world. right? And we're talking people going after people like us, and what I do outside of my workplace, people should care about. Like I have a life.
Okay, so let me
Okay, I have the show right now, and I clearly have opinions. And I teach kids, right? But never am I going to be talking about the stuff that I talk about here when I teach my kids. I have my curriculum. I don't talk about my opinions or anything.
But you're
like
not
that.
doing anything.
You're
not doing anything that's socially inappropriate.
But you don't know. Somebody could say something that I'm doing inappropriate.
that's a perception.
That's a perception thing. Like you don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
we're talking about social issues.
if I had an opinion about something, right, that somebody didn't agree with. So, for example, let's just say I was pro-abortion or against abortion, right? Let's pretend I was on either side.
Right.
And the school that I went to represented a specific side. Could I be fired?
Yes.
Why?
Because it goes against what you.
How does it go
who you're
against?
working for.
No.
It's an
How
alignment.
does it go? How does it go against? That's my personal opinion on something. I don't teach it to my kids. It's not like let's just say I believe that
But you're
Islam
posting it.
is the.
But you're posting
But
it.
but it's my own opinion. It's my life.
But you're preaching it.
But I'm preaching it for me, not for the kids. So, for example, again,
A caretaker for the Simon Wiesenthal Center,
Yeah.
or Yad Vashem, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
yeah,
He's a caretaker. He's in the back. Doesn't have anything to do with any fundraising or
Right.
any sort of educational.
But he belongs to the white
Yeah,
nationalist
yeah, no,
group.
honestly.
but that's extreme.
No,
That's
that's what I'm. But that's what it
But that's
is.
extreme.
Getting at.
But that's. But
Here's a
we're
true
doing a
case.
parallel.
No, but is
the
that-
extreme
is a
is for the
true case.
parallel.
But is that a parallel? I mean, again, I give an opinion on something.
It can't be
because
for a
his
company.
his opinions don't align with who he works for.
It is for a company. So this is what I wanted to say, Sean. I know we're totally overtaking you.
Well, you had a personal story.
I
so
am
you deserve
a
this.
civil servant, and I signed a paper when I was sworn. I had to literally swear an oath, and that oath covers different things, and one of them is decorum, professional conduct in and outside of my life. There's an expectation of me not doing anything illegal, obviously, but that's for all companies, so that's to everybody. But in addition to that, there are things that are expected of me where sometimes I'm not comfortable doing it because I'm thinking, guys, I can actually get fired for this. Like if I'm caught or assumed to be or perceived to be or anything like that. So I'm very careful as to how I carry myself outside of the office as well as online.
So if I drive a car and I the speed limit, let's just say I go over the speed limit by let's just say 30 kilometers per hour, and I get caught and somehow I talk about it online, should I be fired from my job
No.
because I broke the law
No.
and I have a
That's
ticket?
within reason.
So that's the thing.
That's within reason.
So what,
However, if I was, let's say, a driving instructor
Yeah.
for the Ministry of
Driving
Transportation,
100%.
and I'm
Right.
posting and
Right.
I'm getting busted
Right.
for stunts
DUIs.
driving or
Yeah.
DUIs,
right.
that is a direct conflict with the business that you're involved
That's
in.
the
That's the
that's
link.
the
How about
But again,
this?
if I give my opinion on, sorry, I'm going to give you right, and you're going to chime in. I'm just trying to talk about this. That's the abortion part, right? Now again, nobody knows what my positions are,
Right.
but it has nothing to do with the curriculum I teach in my school. Nothing to do with it. I teach Hebrew and then Jewish values. Nothing to do with it. I never even bring up that conversation.
Right.
And somebody hears my opinion on it. Let's just pretend a parent hears it, and they disagree with it. Do they have the right to fire me?
I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't.
Really? You have the right to fire me?
I don't.
I think so. I think
I
don't know.
don't
I
see
think
why.
it's such a touchy situation. It's such a touchy, sticky,
But why not allow me to earn money?
freedom of speech.
Why not allow me to earn money because of some
And
opinions
it's
that
not
I have?
hateful. I have an issue. It's a fine line.
it's a fine because I don't know.
In in the example that he's giving, I don't think that is an accurate and appropriate thing to fire you.
Really?
Yeah.
You bring up,
Any
bring up
lawyers
being a
out here?
teacher, though, right? You bring up the moral obligation of being a teacher.
Yeah,
Years ago, there was this case of I don't remember what school it was, but this teacher, I think it was high school or elementary school. He was posting some poetry online. I think it was on Facebook.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember this, but it had some racy material in it, some racy content. Nothing sexually too explicit, but it made some sexual references. That's an innuendo.
Okay.
And they found it. They found his postings, and they immediately fired him.
I don't understand this.
Does that make sense? Because their
Do you remember
their logic
what
was
yeah. That's what
their
I'm
logic was from what I remember was that as a teacher of a Jewish school, it was a Jewish school. We can't have someone representing or teaching kids who has either a sexual mind or who posts sexual content online because it's contradictory to our values.
Did you guys
and
hear
because he's teaching kids.
whatever? I probably shouldn't say this.
I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable.
But
I don't understand it.
I'm uncomfortable
I don't understand
with
it
that.
either.
I think it's
fine
very
line.
hard for somebody to hide their personal views on a few subjects. If you're talking about abortion and you're talking about rape and you're talking about whatever it is, like kids who don't want the babies or I don't know, whatever the case may be that you're talking about abortion, it's very hard for somebody to hide their personal opinions when you're teaching. It's very hard.
No,
No,
not if you're a good teacher.
I disagree.
Not if
You
you're a good
think so?
teacher.
Both
Yep.
my parents are teachers, and I completely disagree.
Yep.
There is, listen, as, again, a civil servant, I am forced by my professional conduct to be unbiased. I'm a bureaucrat. I have no say in red, green, or blue. So when I'm dealing with business, I have to do it based on the directives, and there's a sense of political acuity that you need to use. And I find that has to happen in other places as well. You cannot be biased and bring that into the workplace.
But if he's posting it on social media about his issues on abortion?
That is an opinion. I think that also borderlines on free speech and whatnot. I don't know that I would if I dealt with children, if I was a teacher in a religious organization.
I think the fact that
I
it is
don't know.
religious and that it's a private, they have the right to fire you. If you're public, you probably have a case. Like it's hard.
I disagree.
What do you mean? I'm paying money and I
What do you
want my
pay money?
kid. I want my
What do you-
kid to be taught by somebody who carries the exact same
Okay,
opinions.
I'll give you an example. Okay, actually I don't want to do it because it's going to be personal. I don't want, no. So
It's okay. I still love you.
no. So
No, it's good.
I know
it's
certain
fine.
I know certain people's opinions when it comes to certain things in the world. I'm trying to
Oh,
be
Right.
as
trying to
vague
go
as,
around me.
I'm trying to be as vague as possible, right? I'm trying to be as vague as possible. And so what? He has these opinions, and they're his opinions. But is he bringing it into his work? Does it have anything to do with
might.
the job that he's doing?
It might.
He might.
No,
Maybe
because
have a
he does something
conversation.
that's
Might.
totally irrelevant.
I still shop there.
I don't know. I feel like it's very murky. I feel like that's the thing. Like we're talking about freedom of speech.
But it depends.
Peop-
Again, you have. This is why I brought up the whole code of ethics and professionalism and the acuity that comes with your job.
Mhm.
I think it's very specific. So again, if you're working for Yad Vashem and you belong to the white nationalist whatever group, there is a conflict there.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
Okay, perfect. So now if you're in a religious school,
But you also belong to something that is frowned upon.
um,
You're not talking about abortion or like again, it's not really frowned upon.
In the case where it's not a controversial subject, where it's just, let's say, expressing sexuality.
Yeah.
that is controversial.
But why is it controversial? And that
Not to me.
But
I don't give a shit. It's your body part. You do whatever the hell you want with it. And I have no say to dictate anything that you do with it. But look at what's happening. There are kids that are, listen, the suicide rate for these children that are having these sexual identity issues is super high for a reason.
But what is the real reason somebody in that position would be fired for something like that? Is it because he posted it online and that's the problem? Or is the problem that...
No, it's the alignment. If
Or
you are
is it
working...
people see that and they're like, oh, we thought this teacher never thought any sexual thoughts. Now we realize, oh, there's a stigma here because
It's a human being. That's kind of dumb.
Okay, I have a
it's
question for you.
dumb. It's dumb, but that's humanity.
You
Right?
work
It's
for
human
the
nature.
government, right? We're not talking about where or what, right? But you
Yeah,
work
don't
for the
out me.
government, okay? And
Never use your real name on
you
Facebook.
you decide to to voice your opinion regarding the Trudeau or whoever it is.
Right.
Can you do that?
I can, yes.
You can.
I am allowed.
Why?
to
Why?
have-
why
Are
so
you?
that's
I'm allowed to have a political...
but that's
See, I don't even work
You-
for the
you are
government,
legally
and
allowed
I
to do
always,
that.
if you ever see my posts,
Mhm.
I'll never be pro-Trump against Trudeau or whatever. Like, if you
Oh, me
actually
too.
read
Me
my
too.
posts,
Oh, no, me too.
I'm always in the middle.
I straddle a line as well. I
Because
do have
honestly, you never know if you're going to have to file for immigration in another country. That's really the reason.
No, but I'm allowed to have an opinion. But
You're
that,
legally allowed to have an opinion, but
Correct.
you should probably stay away from it if you're in a,
I
in a
do,
position
and I do.
that's going
Sorry,
to
I do. I
cause
mean, yes, we're
controversy.
talking about it right now, and I have expressed that I'm not in agreement with this law that's coming out, but that's something that I'm saying in a scholarly way. Like, I'm not attacking him. I'm not attacking his party. And it is the federal level. I'm at a provincial level. More details. And
I have stuff to tell you.
So I think I'm entitled to say I don't agree with this law or the intent of the law. I'm not bashing it, and I'm not doing it in a way that would seem it would impact my job. Because when I go into a meeting, I'm not saying, hey, I'm blue or green or red. Like, that's like, when I go to the ballot, I do whatever I want.
Right.
Right? And I can have that alignment.
No, but do you feel like that's
social media? But I can't have a sign on my home.
100%.
Oh, you can't have a sign.
I am not allowed to have a sign on my home.
Okay.
What do you mean? What?
I am not allowed to have, like, when they do
like
the election.
PC, like she goes for
So
a
I can't have, like, a liberal or a PC or, like, so when they
Because
call
it's
me,
your
they
property.
ask me, as soon as I say I'm a civil servant, they're like, oh, okay, bye.
Got it.
Because we're actually...
Really? I'm still going to use that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Is that
use
a
that.
property issue?
No, it's
like, I
a
hate
public
Jews with the jury
service.
duty.
It's a public service
Right.
of Ontario
so what,
Act.
So what is the difference between you posting that you're pro PC
I
or
didn't- I
liberal on your lawn versus social media? Why can't you?
I
why are
can't.
you not in violation socially?
I am.
Oh, but you just said you weren't.
No, online. Yeah, I can't. I can't be partisan. Like, I have to be.
Oh, I thought you said. I thought
No.
you said
I can
Place
have
it
an
is.
opinion on a legislation that's coming out, but
Oh,
that
but not on the
doesn't.
party.
But that doesn't. That's what I said. I didn't attack the party. I didn't attack the prime minister. Like, I didn't go that way, right?
Somebody wrote something interesting. So,
Yeah.
Can you read Alan's post, because I have something to
If
answer.
you're teaching something but believe in contradicting view, you can never give all of yourself to teaching. That's what I just said to you.
Right, but what I disagree.
I
There's
disagree
a
as well.
reason why I say that. So
I do too.
I work at a Jewish school. Nobody ever asked me whether I believe in God or not.
I've been to Jewish schools where they have goys teaching, like non-Jews teaching.
So-
doesn't mean that.
No,
Like, they
what do
preach
you mean?
for Jesus and
Wait, but I'm teaching.
Catholicism.
Wait, 1 second. What am I teaching?
Math. Hebrew.
No, so I teach Jewish studies or whatever.
But what's Jewish studies? Like history?
Yeah, like I teach, but clearly, if we start saying then one God and all that, but I never give my opinions.
But it has not. But Jewish history has nothing to do
No,
with
but
God.
my point is, it doesn't matter if my views are there. It's got nothing to do with views,
Oh, okay,
right?
so what if you were teaching religion?
Sorry?
What if you were teaching religion?
All I will do is teach religion.
I don't-
I don't have to give my opinions.
Okay.
I don't have to give my opinions on
I'm going to
anything.
bring us back to the Me Too movement. 'Cause I
Okay.
think that we've kind of
Like,
digressed
deviated?
Thank you.
into the rabbit
I think we should
hole.
talk about workplace harassment.
Yeah, so let's.
Thank you, Alan, for your response, and Jesse for an
What did
asshole
Rev
is an
say?
asshole. That's
Sexual
something that you said.
harassment is bullying or I can't see anything.
Okay, sexual harassment is
I sell
bullying or
glasses, by the way,
coercion
not
of a
mine.
sexual nature, or the unwelcome or inappropriate promise of reward in exchange for sexual favors. That looks like an American thing because there's no you in the favors, but that's okay. That's still valid. So bullying or coercion, and then also unwelcome for benefiting. So yeah. So basically, if my boss says, "Listen, you sleep with me, I'll promote you."
Right. But that makes sense. But here's my question, okay? No, that makes sense
Oh,
for sure, sexual harassment. No, I mean, that makes sense. But here's my question.
Wait.
If you accept it,
harassment?
hold on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you accept it
Yep.
and you benefit from it,
Yep.
Yep.
and then a year later,
Yep.
You come out and
you
you
come
say
out
it.
and you say it.
That's the whole Weinstein scandal. That's why
I
have a huge
feel
problem.
sorry.
I agree.
Your story is
Careful, you're driving like.
caca to me,
I agree.
okay? Because you took advantage of the system. You could have easily said no.
Mhm.
Easily.
What was that actress that was on the boat? I forgot her name.
But,
Anyway,
I don't know
but
enough
should I
about-
have to?
she was
No.
saying her
Should I have to?
What do you mean, should you have to?
Should I have to do that in order to benefit?
I think
No.
you
Is
should. I
what the
think
issue
if you
is.
don't want to do it, you should be finding yourself another job.
Right. Or you
was
can
gonna-
report
I was
this
gonna-
person.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
if that's even considered harassment to put the offer on the table.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, it is. I do.
Yes.
I,
Even
yes,
if a
it is.
woman does it to a man.
Yes.
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 And they'll take it
It's like
seriously.
bribing
Yes.
a cop.
Yes.
But is it,
Just
okay,
talking about
It's
it and
called a
not
work-
sliding
it's
the
a work-
envelope.
it's
I'll
a
tell you a
workplace.
personal story. I used to work for a big corporation before I opened up my own store.
Okay, my
And-
people. Sorry.
Yeah, that was one of them. No, but that was after I
I
graduated.
just-
No,
I just
no,
think
no.
outside.
But there's another story relating to
Ah.
that. But I don't want to say any names. I don't want to get sued. But
But all the names of
Be quiet.
lens crafters. No?
Hakeem Optical.
Yeah, that's the one I said. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, I used to work for a big corporation, and not my boss, not the guy that worked directly above me in
Uh-huh.
the store, but his boss
Mhm.
said something about me. At this point, I was like 9 months pregnant.
Uh-huh.
Okay, said something about me, which was completely out of
Inappropriate.
left field.
Okay.
And he said something about me to the lab tech. He didn't know that the lab tech and I were really good friends.
Okay.
Lab tech, I trust him. I've been with him for, like, my friend for 5 years.
Right.
Came and told me, and he said, this is what this person and this person said.
Right.
And I'm like, are you serious? It, like, went all over the store.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Just inappropriate? Or
No, it was really bad.
Was it derogatory?
It
Maybe
was,
share
it was,
some
it
of
was
it?
no, it was sexual and it was disgusting. It was horrible. Anyway, I walked into his office. I slammed the door. Like, I was so insubordinate, but I didn't care at this point.
Yeah.
I had nothing to lose. I was 9 months pregnant. I'm going on mat leave anyway.
Okay.
But I think even if you have something to lose, I think you should still have thick skin and stand up for yourself.
Right. I agree.
I slammed the door and I said to him, I'm like, if you ever effing say anything about me to anybody in this store or anywhere outside again of what you just said, I promise I'll have your head on a stick.
And you're saying that's preferable over reporting it?
100%.
Writing about it.
I'll tell you his reaction. He literally stood up from the chair, fixed his pants, and it looked like I had slapped him in the face. He was so apologetic. The guy called me like at least 17 times to say he was sorry. And I said, listen, I don't give a shit what you're doing. I'm like, just finish it. I'm like, my reputation's on the line. I go, I've been a good girl for like forever. I have never been written up. I have never had any sort of issues. Correct yourself. Because I'm sure that there's not other people that you're saying these things to about, right?
Right.
And it was fine. It was done. I worked for another company above that. Before that, Rami and I both worked. And because we were married, they flew us together to Edmonton, I guess because it was cheaper, like one hotel and whatever it is. And we were opening up their stores in Edmonton for about a month or so. The owner of the company, in front of me, said to Rami, so did you give it to her good last night? And you know Rami, like...
So is the guy stabbed?
I'm
just curious.
Is he alive there?
So...
Wait, but wait. My question is, okay, what if
What's
you
the
work?
context?
What if you work with somebody?
Yeah.
Like if you work with me and I tell people right away, like we're gonna have fun. But
this is your boss.
But I've been people's bosses before, and I say to
you
people,
have to be
and I let
You have
people
to be
and I let
careful.
people
You
know,
can't
hey,
say that.
we're having fun. We were like,
No.
I'll
no,
tell you another
really
thing.
feel like we can't.
I'll
do
tell you
that?
another thing. So I honestly, like, I walked out of that situation. Like, I knew he was going to
That comes with the responsibilities of being the boss.
No,
not
wait,
to cross
hold
that
on.
line.
And then he said, I'm telling you something totally different, like, not even sexually, like, directly related to me. But after that whole concert, anyway, I quit that like, my choice was, Rami left, right? Because you can't work for somebody. He left to go open up his own store anyway. I left, like, about a month later because I decided you can't work for somebody like that. But the one thing that made me leave, he came up to me and said to me a couple weeks later, he said to me, he goes, oh, who's the optician at this store? Who's the one that's in charge? And I came out and it was me, and it was the summer, and I was wearing like a top, but it wasn't revealing or anything. Like, I never dress revealing. I'm self-conscious like that.
Religious people
And he says,
will see your shoulders.
oh, God. And he says, you come here, let me teach you something. I go, okay. I'm like, what are you going to teach me? I could probably teach you. And I said, he comes, I want to show you how you put glasses on display. And I wish I had a pair with me right now that I could show you.
Okay.
He said, you need to display the glasses a little bit more interesting to customers. And I said, okay, how? He goes, you have to put one pair, like, so think of this as like the arms of the glasses, right? You have to put one pair like this and another pair standing up like a soldier between the legs of a woman.
Okay.
I think that's just an ignorant answer.
Yeah, I think
Like,
it's-
so,
Yeah,
to
no,
me,
I understand what
but
you're
to me,
saying.
that's
Yeah.
not... I'd be like,
Appropriate.
don't talk to me like that.
Yeah,
but
no,
I
that's
said to him, I said,
inappropriate.
don't talk to me like that. I'm
Yeah,
like, I
it's
don't care if you're my boss and you're signing my paycheck.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah, no, I understand where
I
you're coming
agree.
from. I understand where
So
you're
you
coming
have
from.
to have thick skin.
For
To
sure.
me, it's like, you can't, like the Weinstein thing. Like, you can't accept it because he's, like, giving you parts and he's giving you money. And then now 20 years later, when you're, like, this huge celebrity and you don't need him anymore, like... have validation over what your accusations are over this guy.
I think when, especially in the workplace, we're very afraid to lose our jobs, right? Like to be
But
able
you
to say-
shouldn't be.
But
If you're a good employee and you have a good
Well, hold on,
CV
hold
and you
on,
have
hold on.
references.
What if you don't have HR? What if you don't
That's
have those? Like
fair
I
enough,
worked
yeah.
for two companies where it's not about the Me Too, but I felt I was harassed. 2 companies I worked for, like literally harassed, like to a point where I wanted to quit, but they were holding on to my visa. There were like situations, and there was no HR. Literally, the only person I could complain to is the boss.
The guy who's harassing.
The guy who was doing it. Yeah.
So
And
there's
then
no
in your
practice
So what do I
report.
do?
You need to leave.
What do I do? So but I lose money, and I lose my job, like, which I pay bills every month.
Then you go inside
And-
his room and you slam the door and you tell him like it is.
What do I tell him?
You allow somebody to come into your house. Every time he comes in, you have marble floors. You let him come in with shoes on, right?
Yeah.
The day you get white carpet, what are you going to tell him? No, you can't leave your shoes at the door? Why? But I've been wearing shoes all the time every time I come to see you.
No, but I should be able to sit at any point in time. That's the reality. There shouldn't be like, oh, you've allowed me.
The point is you need to stop them right when it starts. Nip it in the butt.
Yeah,
if
but,
you don't,
but
you're...
you can't. Like it's so.
Also- Yes, you
it's,
can.
No, I'm sorry.
It's not
easy.
it's not your place.
It's
also,
it's
Like,
easier
it's not
said
your
than done.
environment.
Easier said than done.
I don't think so.
Easier, little easier said. I had my visa in place.
Yeah.
I was paying bills. I was by myself, and they knew that.
Yeah, that's
and
the
that was
power
it.
struggle.
Like at one point, I was actually told. So I did an amazing job for this company. Again, I'm not going to say people probably know where I worked, but I worked for this company for a while, and I did a really really good job for them. What do you do? Extra hours, flying to places where people don't want to fly to, doing extra work, like blah blah blah. And I was promised that if I do the regular job, I'm going to get paid properly. Then it came down to it. They said, oh, you're lucky to even have a job now with the situation that we're not bringing you down to part-time. And I said, well, like that's not fair. I've been doing so much work and I have to deal with so much. And all of a sudden, like they brought in somebody else and they paid him like the big amount. And I felt like this is not the harassment part.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I couldn't, like at that time I was like, here's the proof.
feel
I
like
worked
your
really
hands are
hard.
tied.
I was like, there was nothing I could have done because I knew that, like, yeah, technically they could just fire me, let me go, and what am I gonna do?
But I
there's nothing that I can do.
I said earlier on also that a lot of the sexual harassment or the coercion or any of that, it's really not always about sex. Yeah, like
Power.
Yeah.
It's power.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's
It's
what
like-
sex is for men too. Like that's the thing. It's power.
But
Right.
I think that's where the difference is that with women to men, it's not seen as the same kind of power struggle because women aren't considered to have any kind of power over men.
Have you
except
worked?
sexual.
I have a question for you now. It's specifically
Yeah.
for you. Have you ever worked for a woman?
No.
No.
Well,
It's terrible.
Actually,
Wait,
yes, I have.
Wait.
I have worked for.
I have a story here. Okay. This not harassment, but it's gonna lead. I worked. Most of my bosses have been women, and I have no problem with women being my bosses.
Probably because you're a man.
I don't. No, I don't think of it that way. You're my boss. I don't see you as a woman. I don't see you as a man. You give me a job to do. It's what I do. I don't see color. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're fat.
Fine,
I don't care about anything. And but for some reason, most of the women that I worked with, for some reason, always felt like they had this power over me, like trying to. Now I'm a powerful person as my personality, but trying to be overpowering.
Yeah.
Women do that.
And
to
I'm
men
like,
too.
why? What
Yeah.
for? Like I'm not doing it to be over you. You give me the instructions, let me do it, and that's it. So I went to work. I'll actually mention it because I didn't get the job anyways. So I went
Don't
to.
say the company name.
I don't care. I don't care.
No, don't.
No, don't.
Do you know that it was a conscious thing what they were doing? or-
Don't.
God damn it! I want to say it because I was a little pissed off.
Don't.
So I had a job
Are
interview.
you
at this
sure it was a
place.
conscious thing on their part that they were like trying to assert power over you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There's no question.
It's not just their personality.
I mean, maybe, but but literally, it was just them. But like they used to say, like they had more balls than any other guys in the.
I do. I have more balls than most guys that I know.
But I applied for this job.
does Karen.
I applied for this job, and 2 women interviewed me for this job. I was tailored for that job. It's literally charity, teaching, helping, like everything that I can do, and literally tailored. And the last question was, how do you feel working for 2 women?
What did you answer?
I don't have any.
Feelings.
I was like, I don't even know
How to
the
answer
relevancy
that.
of this question. Like, what do you mean? I said, I don't see why that question would even come up. I mean, what's the difference, men and women? She's like, you don't see a difference between working for 2 women as opposed to working for a man?
No, it doesn't
I
impede on
said,
the
no,
ability
and
of my
I was
job.
just like sitting there, and they're like, they were stunned. And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, did I say something wrong?
No, but
And I
in
felt,
their eyes, they
I
did.
felt so uncomfortable, and I'm like, are they trying to get something out of me? I'm not, or maybe they're thinking that I'm holding back.
I would
But
have
for
said,
me,
what do you want to hear?
Sorry?
I would have said, what do you want to hear?
Well, that's the thing. You know, if you say it like that, you're not getting the job. I never got the job. But the point was, I felt at that moment was very uncomfortable. And I was just trying to make it as comfortable as possible, but basically saying, I don't see the problem here. I don't see it the same way that you're seeing it. Doesn't matter if I work for a man or a woman. I'm doing the job. It doesn't bother me. But for them, there was something about it. And so I did ask something at the end. So before I left, I said, may I ask a question? What kind of answer were you looking for from that question? I'm just curious to know. Oh, never mind. And I was just like, okay, I got it and get the job,
Right.
about that, but it really bothered me because I was thinking to myself, what happened if a man would have said it to a woman? How would you feel if a man was your boss? And I
it's inappropriate.
and I felt that
it's completely inappropriate.
and this was a charity. This was a charity.
No, I agree.
This was a place that does a lot of amazing things, and I felt very uncomfortable. And by the way, I've never told anybody this, but I felt very, very uncomfortable in that room.
Company, but don't say the name.
Yeah, I'll tell you
I'll ask you
afterwards.
off the air.
And I just felt like I didn't get the job based on literally that question, and I felt it had nothing to do with the job at hand.
Yep.
Nothing to do with
It doesn't.
And I felt that question should have never even
I
been
think
there.
that people also sometimes get too caught up in those biometrics, like those psychology questions that are supposed to reveal like the darkest, deepest parts of your soul.
Like the Inca.
Yeah.
What is this? Oh,
yeah.
it's you masturbating.
Right, yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's
And I feel people get really caught up, and then they come up with these questions that are not necessarily indicative of anything.
I was thinking it could have been a loaded question in order to kind of put distance between you and them.
But his
Maybe
answer was genuine.
I was like, I didn't
like
see
my
it.
They didn't
child.
care. It
My
wasn't
child
about
is 5
that.
years old. He really doesn't know the difference between Chinese, black, woman, or boy or girl.
I told you about the other day, right?
I swear, he really doesn't. The only thing my son knows is that girls have chuchis and boys have bulbuls. That's it. Like, literally. But other than that...
He's 2? 1.
No, but like...
Okay.
But
not anymore.
But there's no...
That's true.
But it's weird because yesterday I noticed that he went and he got the car. He went and he got the car. He's like, Emma, you drive. But it's a race car. I bought it for him. It's blue. Like
Right.
it's... Do you know?
All of these social cues that are saying boy, he doesn't see.
He doesn't see it. So to me, when you say
We're
to
the ones
these
who
women,
corrupt
when
it.
you say to them, I don't understand your question.
Yeah.
Like I don't see a male or a female boss in the same light.
I would have been like, does that mean you're off
It
once
may
a
have
week?
been
Like
meant
once
to
a
make you
month?
uncomfortable, or to put you.
Right, but at the same, but I don't know what the right question, what the right answer would have been for that.
Wasn't it a right question?
I don't
just
think
felt,
there
I
is
felt
one.
like there was.
Sad.
So I'm
I
very
don't
bubbly
think there
when
is
I
one.
walked in. I'm smiling, and I like the job, and I know what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, I felt this like really weird vibe after that question or after that answer.
It's so weird that they would
sounds
ask
a
you
bit
that.
passive aggressive to
It-
me.
Yeah, 100%.
In a way that it was completely unnecessary.
I
Had nothing to
concur.
do with the job.
I didn't think so.
And
I concur.
was trying to kind of
Do you
be
think that
antagonistic
question?
and set you off a little bit.
Do you think that question was made for you or for everybody in the interview?
That
Who
is
knows?
what I was thinking about.
Because you come off as a person who's very tough and very like me, like
Right.
I'm better than everybody else.
Is that really how I come off?
You
Better?
no, not better, but you come off as a person who's very secure about themselves.
Right.
Right? So you seem like a person who wouldn't be able to take orders very well. I think maybe that's why they asked you that question. I don't know if they would have asked that question to everybody else.
I
If
don't
they
know.
were like, if
'Cause
he's
you're very
capable of being
confident.
submissive,
Right.
being confident and strong does not mean that you cannot
Be submissive.
no, it doesn't
Power?
mean you can't respect
Okay,
the
all right.
hierarchy.
And
So
you
let's
wouldn't-
turn
you
it
wouldn't
around.
have- you wouldn't have gotten
Here
an
comes a
honest answer.
butchy girl who might be a
I'm
lesbian.
not butchy,
No.
not lesbian, and I come into a meeting.
No, but let's
and
pretend.
I am like,
Let's pretend.
here we are.
Let's pretend.
play.
Let's pretend a butchy girl, I don't know, like comes into the office and I go,
Okay.
are you
That's
gonna,
very
are you
offensive.
gonna be okay? What? No, are you gonna be okay working for a man?
Oh, because
Like, you know what I
okay.
mean? It's like, no, it wouldn't have worked out in any way.
Listen, it doesn't even have to be that far. I mean, if I was in your shoes and it was two men interviewing me and asking me that, I would have been uncomfortable. And if there were two women, like it was with you, and they asked me that question, I would have had the same reaction, being like, oh, are y'all taking, like, are you cycling together, so you're taking a week off a month? Like, what is it? Because I don't have an issue.
I don't know. I felt like literally like the interview was amazing
Yeah.
until that point because they asked me questions and I gave them answers.
They
and, you know,
clearly wanted
because
to
I've done this.
destabilize you
And then all of a
one
sudden,
way or
yeah, they
another.
made me feel very uncomfortable. And I,
Yeah.
you know, and
It
again,
was leading.
I didn't know how to. Sorry.
It was leading.
Yeah, like I just felt like in my mind, I'm like, because you know, you're in an interview,
Mhm.
and I'm an improv actor, so I'm thinking, okay, I need to respond right away. But it was like, I have nothing to say because I don't know what the difference is. What do I do? Tell them that my last boss was a woman and she was a total bitch and now I have two of you? No, right? So that's not where I'm going to go with, right? The idea was you're my boss, whatever. If you, I don't care if you're a male or a woman. Telling you that story that I had the other day for you.
Oh,
where
don't do it.
Not to do it?
No.
But why?
No,
it's
don't
real.
do it. No.
No?
No.
All right. Maybe for
The cow thing?
yes.
Like how she
No.
puts you in your spot.
Don't do it.
That's
Not
how
to do
you
it?
do it.
Why? I'm going to be
Woman
looked at
power.
as...
No, I think that it's going to be. First of all, it's taking away from the actual subject.
All right, so for that reason,
Yeah.
let's bring it back. So
And
right
I'm
now
watching
it's
your
1:25. We kind of want to finish
Sure.
soon. So why don't we get back into the Me Too? Do you feel that the Me Too campaign is doing more positive, more negative, both, or you think that it needs to be talked a lot more in terms of fixing it to make
I think
it
it's making my eyes roll.
Yeah.
make your eyes roll?
Yeah, it's
really.
annoying.
And you believe that a lot of other people believe this, meaning women.
100%.
really
Oh my
annoying.
god! And do you know? So a week leading up to this, and I said, "Sorry, I have to leave on Friday. I'm not going to be here."
Right.
Do you know that every single customer that came in, we went into like this whole frenzy of like they wouldn't leave the store. It was like an hour. We were just talking about social like
Media and
like
issues.
whatever it is, like
pertaining
all
to-
these like issues and stuff. And every woman that I said this to had the exact same opinion as me.
What if a man said something different though?
Different in what
He
sense?
entered a conversation.
So I didn't have a man. I didn't say
No,
that.
because okay, so you guys clearly saw that I posted something like right not long ago. And you made a comment. By the way, you're the reason we have the Me Too right now, because you asked for it.
Thanks.
But we saw like some responses that were very, very negative from friends of mine who said, "Ron, don't take it personal, but I don't think you have any idea what it's like to be a woman. I don't think you have any
You
idea
don't.
about
You have a
harassment."
penis.
And I go, "That is 100% true, but I could still have some opinion on it.
Absolutely.
Like I can have, if I see somebody being raped and go, well, I was never a rape victim, so I don't know what it's like
Women
to
don't
be
know what it's like to be a man.
Right,
They can still
right,
comment on male
right.
bodies.
I agree, but it doesn't mean that I can't have an opinion that's formed in some kind of an intelligent process
And the problem,
on something.
the prob-
Obviously, I'm not going to comment on what it's like to pee standing up. How's that?
the biggest
You know,
biggest
they've
issue
invented
about
something
this,
for that.
the biggest problem
To
is
make a sequel.
the monolithic mentality, because in a sense, you can't really comment on anybody's issues because everybody's an individual. So if you see everybody as a monolith, then you can say, well, if we're a part of this group, we can all comment on each other. But because you're an outsider, because you don't belong to our group, you shouldn't be allowed to comment. But in that sense, everybody can be considered monolithic because we're all part of the human race. But if you want to individualize it, then no one can be commenting on anyone's problems because we're all individuals.
Right.
And no woman is experiencing exactly the same thing that any other woman is
But in order to
experiencing.
bring it together, don't you need that bridge?
I think
Don't you
there's
need
a
that
level.
outsider to really come in? Like if more men walked out and said, "Yeah, we're abusing women, like we're treating them like crap," like
Men are supporting
right,
this.
but I'm saying, but really,
It's not all
really
men.
coming out. But at the same time, there needs to be like some sort of a line where, again, in my opinion, there needs to be a line like what is sexual harassment, what is assault, what rape. We understand what is rape.
So, how about we talk about it in the way that it has been portrayed in the media? One is you're in a position of power.
yeah,
And you are expected to provide some sexual kind of favor in order to move forward in your career and your job or whatever.
Right.
So that's definitely what we've seen with the whole Harvey Weinstein.
by the way,
Couch.
that's for men and women too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I was
The
gonna say.
Brian Siegel.
I never
Siegel?
said-
Think that's
I
his
never
name?
said
No, what's
women
his name?
or
Brian,
men.
the guy who did the X-Men.
Bryan Singer.
Brian Singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
Brian
didn't hear
Singer.
anything
No,
about
so like, he, in order to get people to...
No, I think you were thinking of Brett Ratner.
No, him
No,
too.
him
But,
too?
no,
Okay.
but yes, also him. But
Right.
he's gay.
Okay.
And like basically mail favors to be able to get specific jobs. Same type of harassment.
But
Men to men.
But please remember that at the very beginning, I'm the one who said and repeated it multiple times that men and women are both victims
Right.
and perpetrators.
Right.
So when the statement that I just said was that it's somebody who is in a power position
Right.
who's telling you that in order to move forward, man or woman, on the accuser or on the victim, to move forward in your job or career, you need to provide sexual favors.
Right, in the sense of power,
But
it's not gender specific because anybody
Right.
could be in the position.
What if I told you, in order
Yeah.
for you to move up in your career,
Yeah.
I want you to show more cleavage?
Done.
No. Meaning, like, you're done with, you're not working there anymore.
No, like done. How
Okay.
far? How far do you want my neckline to go?
No. Okay.
Wait a second.
Now we're-
Hold on. What job am I doing? Hold on.
So you're a hostess
Where?
at a nice fancy restaurant.
Okay.
And I want the people that are walking in to
Okay.
show more
No
cleavage.
problem.
But how would a woman perceive it? Like, not you're clearly representing a woman here, but I mean, how would other women perceive it? Is that sexual harassment?
No.
No, he's just saying like you.
But could
you
she
want
say,
more
like,
you want
he
more
made me-
tips? You're getting like you have to show more. Like I mean that's kind of obvious.
Is
If
it?
it's part of your job.
But
But
is it a
that's-
part of the job to show boobs? I never like.
That's why I asked you where am
resumes.
I working.
It's a hostess.
Because I at the Cactus Club Cafe or Moxie's or all
Yeah.
those places, they're first of all they're not allowed to wear flats.
Yeah.
They have to wear a 1-inch heel.
Yeah.
Their skirt needs to be above the knee.
Yeah.
Right? They need to have either sleeveless or
Yeah.
short sleeve and low cut. Like this is actually
That's
their uniform.
their uniform.
Can somebody say that that's
Yes.
That's their uniform. Actually, somebody got sued for
Yeah.
that. I think who was it? Moxie's?
Maybe.
I think
I do remember
somebody
that,
got
yeah.
sued for that because the boss, somebody had like given a resume, and when they walked out, the boss like tore
Ripped
up the
it off.
resume and said she's too ugly for us.
Oof.
And one of the waitresses was friends with the other one and said what had happened, and they had to give her like serious compensation.
Balls. Well, that's just dumb because he could have just been
Yeah, I could have tossed it.
been smart about his business practice. That's just
Yeah.
stupidity. But if my boss comes
Really?
to me,
Oh yeah, that's discrimination. That goes under discrimination.
I just don't know if I agree with like lowering your shirt. I get it; it's part of the uniform, and you want more tips, whatever it is. Fine, but him saying to you, lower your shirt to get ahead, I'd be like, F you.
Is it a sexual issue?
Like,
if
pull
somebody
down your
comes
pants
to
if you want, like-
no,
you're
that's why I
ugly,
asked. Like,
you're
if
not attractive enough, let's say.
No,
That's
no.
not sexual, but that's discrimination.
That's discrimination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Regardless of
if my boss, who comes to me, male or female, comes to me and says, you have a great pair of.
We're allowed to
And-
say boobs on this show. It's all right.
That's not what I was
It's
going to
all
say. So, and it would be great to see them a little bit displayed all the time, a little bit more weight, and or if you chose maybe a different cut for your shirt. And I'm a freaking computer behind a desk all day, nobody sees me. That's weird. But if I'm a hostess and I am supposed to invite and sell you a kind of a dream,
Oh, I
or
agree.
you know what I mean, that kind
That
of
makes
thing.
sense.
I'm going to be like, he's got a point. I can say at that point I'm not comfortable. If he fires me, then we have a problem.
Okay, so what if you say you're not comfortable?
And then what? He
And-
fires me?
No, and you just notice that now you're like picking up cues that like he's not comfortable around you at the office anymore because you're not a team player.
He's not comfortable around me?
Yeah, like,
Shit, do I get paid every 2 weeks? Good. That's it.
Do you think you represent most women, or
Um,
I don't know. I think in today's world, like we're literally in Hebrew we call it mechapsim. We're like looking for it. Like
We
like,
are.
Where is that sexual harassment lawsuit
We
coming
are.
from? Everybody's
I-
jumping in front of cars today.
I had a colleague, and
Everybody's offended by everything.
everything,
nowadays.
it drives me crazy. I had a colleague who came into my office and who literally, like that Captain, that rum commercial. When
Yeah.
he said,
Yeah.
So he came in and literally like grabbed a
Those
chair
things.
and did like, no, it's not those things.
Oh,
But anyway, like
No,
Captain
Morgan.
Rum,
Captain
whatever.
Morgan.
Yeah.
And he kind of stood like that, and he's like 6 feet tall, and he kind of looks like The Rock.
Okay.
He's that kind of stature,
Okay.
and I just looked at him
Why
and
do
I
I
was
not
like,
know this person?
"Girl, trust me."
Rami, are you paying attention to this?
And I was like, WDHP much, which is code for workplace discrimination harassment. And he was like, "What do you mean?" And he started thrusting. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And I just giggled, and then he put the chair back and left.
Yeah.
But that's
What if? Yeah, is that appropriate?
But what if somebody saw it?
That's my point.
And they were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, and that
I didn't
even
care.
happened
For
to them.
me, it was the best thing. It was a chuckle. I had a good moment.
But you have
I
thick
was like,
skin. You
It's
have
not-
thick skin.
He's not trying to like.
Oh my god,
Mouth-
the people that you come across now are
Yeah.
offended by like everything.
Is the problem too much leniency with allowing people?
No,
to
I
be
think it's the
offended?
bubble wrapping our society
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
But does that stem from too much leniency with
With
PC mentality?
self-indulgence. It's very
Right.
indulgent.
Guys,
behavior.
we're changing the national anthem to
What
appease.
is that?
To
Oh my
appease,
God.
you know
That
what I'm
bugs
saying?
me.
Like, come on, I mean, it's getting
That
ridiculous.
bugs
that
Which
did you hear
words
about the
are we
Peter
changing?
Rabbit thing?
No.
On the new Peter Rabbit the movie,
Yeah.
whatever it is. They're saying that they've offended the allergies society of God knows what, because the guy, the bad guy in the show in the movie
Was eating peanuts and
no
Bamba,
is
and he's
allergic
not
to
allowed?
blackberries or blueberries,
Uh-huh.
and the little rabbits were getting back at him, and they were flinging like blueberries at him, and he had to have an EpiPen. And so Warner Brothers, or whatever the studio it is, had to issue an apology that we were insensitive to people who suffer from allergies. Like, are you kidding me right now?
Oh my god.
What about bullying? Like, and then it talks about,
Yeah, can we talk about?
It's just, but that's okay.
It's the bubble.
We're literally
snowflake
talking.
society.
So from Me Too, we walked into really the problem with the Me Too campaign, where Me Too, stems from something amazing for people to come out, ladies especially.
It just blew out of proportion.
But now it's just it's become a big salad of everything together, and it's just like showing who we are as a people, and we're becoming worse and worse by the day. The posting that I'm seeing, like, are people being offended over ridiculous things. That
Can you imagine posting this blueberry allergy thing in Israel? And saying that you've offended me. You've offended me because I need to take an EpiPen.
They would laugh like crazy.
Like, I think it's only America. Honestly, it's America and North America.
Was it better when people didn't listen to this? When you had complaints and people said, "Grow up, take responsibility for yourselves."
Suck it
the whole
up,
dance
Buttercup.
thing. Did you hear about the dance thing in the States?
No.
That you're not allowed, kids now in high school and in grade school, if you're at a dance and the boy comes up to the girl and says, "Do you want to dance with me?" the girl must say yes. Because the feelings of rejection of the boy is more important than
you guys.
than the feelings of, like, oh well, whatever, let's just dance with him, don't make him feel bad.
That,
but, like, what
to
the
me,
hell?
is coercion.
What the hell?
You are
Dude,
you are
have
coercing me to do something that I don't necessarily want to do.
But taking the male's feelings into account.
So that you
don't feel bad.
But
see, that's my problem. When did feelings come into play?
Yeah, honestly.
It's all about feelings. You've hurt my feelings. Like, I teach politics, and sometimes I say things that are factual. You're hurting my feelings. Bro, it's a fact. What do you want to argue? I don't care how you feel about it.
It's true.
Talk to me about what, and we're like, and people care more about that. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was at York University, I was having this political debate about Israel and the war and whatnot, and literally giving information,
Good place to
dates.
have it.
Sorry?
Good place to have it.
Yes. Literally having great conversation, and all of a sudden, one guy started crying.
Wait.
And I said, what happened? You can't handle it? It's like, we used to have, like, olive trees in our backyard, and now because of the war, we don't have olive. And everybody's like, came to this Muhammad guy and hugged him and felt him like, what are you doing? We're having a debate about the Middle East conflict, and literally everybody went to this guy about how he felt about some trees while people were dying, like at a war. Like, that was his big deal. And, like, literally people were...
So we're losing focus, basically. We're losing... I think that the movement...
There you go.
The Me Too movement had an intent. But just like a lot of things that are utopic, I think, always fall victim to people that don't have necessarily the right intent for it. So I think that this is what's happening right now with Me Too. Do I believe in empowering women to speak out against violence?
I'm a woman, and I
Absolutely.
really think that this is completely
No.
ridiculous.
But
even the Women's March thing,
oh, ew.
I'm
no.
sorry, I'm a woman. I've made like $4 less an hour than my husband at another job that I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood up for myself. Why am I getting $4 less an hour and a part-time position? And I actually have a good CV because my parents were in the business. My husband, straight out of school, gets a full-time position, a manager's position, and like $5 an hour extra.
And
like,
it's Rami too. I mean, really.
I know. No, but seriously, like, I've been in this position.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that I haven't experienced this. I actually have.
No, and that's something I think is
So
very
why
relevant.
are
by
you
the way.
out there marching and protesting instead of actually doing something about it? Everybody sits behind their computers and starts all this typing, and they're not actually actively doing something.
Is it laziness because they don't know, or they just don't know what to do? Or they feel
No,
it's easier
they're
to
just
use-
like cyberbullying, or like everybody has this like everybody develops this like strength when they're behind a computer. But when it comes time to actually facing the fact, like, why can't I go up to my boss and be like, hey dude, like, where's my extra $4? He gave it to me.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think? My husband wasn't going to tell me what he was making?
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Yeah.
He gave it to me.
Does it work that way for everyone?
Open your mouth.
It should. I mean,
It should, but
I
doesn't.
can't see myself paying a woman less than a man if she does the same job. I don't know. Maybe it's something about our society that's.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, that stems from so long ago, and it's still
Right, but
being
like, even
being ironed
but
out
we're being
for some
we're being
ridiculous.
educated right now. Like, why
Yeah.
are we talking about? And I always go back to the school part because, in my opinion, it's very important. What are we teaching our kids? Like clearly, like I've been out of school for what now, 20 years. Like I'm meaning out of high school for like 20 years. I don't see the I don't see the change.
When I went to go sign up Joey to the daycare, and I knew Joey. Joey's like so rambunctious. If anybody knows him, he knows that he's like this little Israeli little kid who's got like off the walls.
Right.
And I said,
I'm glad you're saying it now.
But she loves her kid.
And the first thing I said to the lady when she was giving me a tour of the daycare, I go, how do you handle punishments? And she looked at me like,
what's that?
Like I slapped her. And I said, what do you mean? I go, how do you punish my kid? Like he does something bad. How do you punish him? Oh, no, we don't believe in punishing because it ruins the self-esteem of the child. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't believe in corner
Well,
time?
maybe there's a different word. Like, I don't know.
Reprimanding.
Yeah, like...
Whatever, I meant to say punishing, but you know what I mean. Like, correcting him.
Right.
Like, he flings a toy at a kid and blinds him. Like, how are you going to punish him? Like, honestly, what are you going to do?
What are the repercussions to somebody misbehaving?
But she looked at me like I'm crazy. You removed the child from the situation, so instead of letting them play with the crayons because he threw the crayons, you're letting him have a timeout and go play with the blocks.
Well, timeout is that.
But he's removing from... You're letting him... removing him from the crayons and taking him to the blocks.
So I know for a fact that 3 people on this couch, just because I just met ShaRon today, but we got hit. There's no doubt. We got smacked around.
Oh my God, my dad used to just look at me and I used to shit my pants.
Exactly. And I think that we've grown up to be responsible adults. We are part of society, and we have a great respect. I'm not saying that you need to hit your kid for that to happen. I'm just saying that we grew up in that environment, and obviously it wasn't an abusive environment. It was just that's what they knew to do at that time before they got into this whole psychology, talk to your children and whatever. And I know my sister for a fact has never hit her children, and they're great human beings as well. So obviously I'm not pro hitting your kids. I'm just saying we have been.
Or maybe she hits them when you don't see.
No, she doesn't.
No?
No.
I never hit my kid. Right? Yeah, exactly. I just tell him I'll kill him.
But we were part of that.
You take their iPad away.
And exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but we were.
I say do it again. Do it again.
I dare you.
That's what I say. I do it.
I dare you.
I do it. I do it all the time, and they look at me.
It's a difficult environment for a teacher to even admit that there's any kind of consequences. They're afraid of the stigma of
listen, I grew up in a different country, and the teachers used to hit.
I know, but back then, I'm sure you
my
full on.
Yeah, really?
Full on.
Yeah, well, it is Morocco, so it kind of makes sense.
It was
right?
like that ruler. That ruler.
You had a ruler still? What century are you from? I thought that you're only a certain age.
Okay, but I was like in a third world country, so
wow.
that kind of sets us back.
Third world.
Okay, second.
But here's the thing. I used to be scared of cops growing up. Like, very scared.
Really? Why?
Yeah, really, really scared. When I was...
I am too now, by the way.
When I was 4 years old or 5...
I'll tell you why.
I was in kindergarten, and it was like a school, and the younger kids were on one side, and the older kids were on the other, and it was like a little fence. In Israel, you could pick up a rock anywhere, like literally rocks. Everybody knows this. There's rocks everywhere, and we would have like a little rock fight, right? And I thought the purpose of a rock fight was actually to hit somebody. I didn't think it was just to throw. So this kid started whipping, and it kept hitting my leg, and I just picked it up and hit him right in the eye. Right?
You're lucky.
Again, ambulance came, whatever. They took him, and they got me in trouble. And I said, we're playing a rock fight. I mean, it's bound to happen to one of us, right? And they sat me down, and there was cops in the neighborhood. And
was this here?
No, this was in Israel. But it was, first world country. No beating of any sort. But the kindergarten teacher said, "Do you hear the police? Yeah, they're here to get you." Yep. And you're going to be arrested for hurting the boy.
Oh my God! Didn't you?
And I sat there and I was crying, and she told me about prison and what it was all like. I'm 4 years old, so right away all my life grew up. And it's funny because
were you not told that the boogeyman was going to come and get you if you didn't go to sleep?
No, because I saw the cop. I never saw the boogeyman. Right?
I did that to my son. My son went to school and he brought flowers. Last Valentine's Day, he brought flowers for the teachers. No, he took it from my bouquet and he gave it to the teachers.
Oh, nice.
Went to the teachers. Another kid came and knocked down the vase. My son got so upset, and he said he was 3.5. He didn't even turn 4 yet, and he said, "My daddy has a gun. He's gonna come and kill you." Nice. Oh my God! The teacher, I go to pick up Joey early for a doctor's appointment, and the teacher comes up to me and says, we don't really know how to deal with this kind of situation because he is only 3. Yeah. And we do understand that kids have active imaginations, but can you please talk to him? And I said, no problem. I called up my friend who's a police officer, and I told him, I said, to come and speak to my son about the dangers of guns and about what happens when you do shoot guns and things like that. So happens to be that a week later, my daughter decides to dial 911, and a police officer comes knocking at the door, right? It's just, it's just one of those.
Yeah.
From a 4-year-old, it's probably an empty threat. You don't have to worry.
Well, but still,
I don't know.
I mean, it's the way you have to correct your child into thinking like that's not okay.
But that's the thing. We're depending on like these teachers, who I'm sure they have to follow some sort of protocol, and how they communicate. Did it just go?
I don't know.
No, it's fine.
We're
Okay.
We're still on. It
Okay,
looks like looks like everything is fine. Yeah, maybe we're passing over. Does it say anything? No, it says we're
No,
still
just
on.
because I don't see any messages, so I didn't know whether.
Yeah.
we were missing
kinda
things.
No, but this
So
thing
it's like
kind
2
of
hours.
stopped.
Wouldn't it say end of feed?
Yeah, I believe that people are still seeing us. Anyways, why don't we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Why don't we have like a final word? I think maybe we'll start this side, kind of finish it off, about the idea of the Me Too and maybe what you ladies can do and what us men can do to actually make sure that Me Too doesn't lose the power that it
The
once
right
had.
intent, yeah.
Right.
So I definitely support any persons that have been victimized by somebody else, sexually natured assaults, to speak up and to seek support, and I'm more than happy to hear anything or listen or be a part of that healing process. And to also not forget to report it if it is serious enough that we need to report it and not cover it for it. How I'm going to support this is maybe speak against it when it gets to be ridiculous and it takes away from the actual intent. That's my commitment to it.
I think in addition to that, if you are going to report it, you need to do it right away. Like
don't away.
Don't wait like 20 years or don't wait a year. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're stuck, like you were talking about earlier, I think get your ducks in a row and leave if there's nothing that you can do. I mean, there is always something you can do. You can choose to leave. You can choose to find something else. I think the way that I would support it, I have a daughter. I will speak to her. And my son, 100%. And not raise my children to believe in this, like, I'm not bubble wrapping my children. My son falls. I won't run to pick him up. I'll see him. He's okay. He's breathing. He's fine. Let him get up. Like, I'm not a helicopter mom. I think that children need to learn the right and the wrong on their own with guidance from their parents. Mm-hmm. None of this, like, hippiness and this, like, the world is so pretty.
Over PC.
The world is so pretty. Like, you can't go and, like, fight for gender equality. Like, you can't go and sue Target because they don't have a transgendered bathroom. Like, you want to be a man, go to the men's. You want to be a lady, be a lady.
Yeah.
Like, make your decision. Stick with it and go. Don't make the world adapt to you. You need to adapt to the world. You need to develop that thick skin. Nobody in the real world is going to adapt to your feelings.
That requires personal accountability, which is difficult for people.
I want to add to something that you just mentioned. You said that you're not a helicopter mom. But where do your kids spend 8 hours of the day? In school. That's where the problem lies.
But they don't helicopter them.
Oh.
They have 30 kids to take care of.
But that's the thing. Like, the way they talk, like, the way they communicate with the kids. Like you said, what type of punishment? Oh, we don't have punishment. So the kid's going to grow like... Right? They're going to learn all that stuff, like the gender. Like today, how they learn about sex, right? About a man and a man. Now they have an issue with it, but if you're not happy with it in your home, it's clearly happening in school. That's where they're going to be learning about it. Or I have a kid in my class who, we decided to separate like boys and girls, and as a joke, he says, "You assume my gender." Now he said it as a joke.
But it's still, there's an impact.
It came from somewhere that a boy, like go, okay, boys on one side, girls on the other.
Listen, I'm all for tolerating, for teaching tolerance, for sure, and I think that it is important, and I think that's part of the. But it doesn't mean that I'm tolerant. But religiously, I may believe in something else, but I still respect you. You're still a human being.
Right.
You're still entitled to the same rights that I do. And like I said earlier, it's your body. You do whatever the hell you want with it, and where you want to put it or not put it, that's your business. I'm not coming into you or your home and dictating that.
Except when it involves other people.
Well, if it's against somebody's will, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking within the spectrum of normalcy,
Right. By the way, we're keeping it at normalcy because
Yes.
rape. That's a totally different department.
Yes,
we
that's
can't
a
even,
mental.
we can't even talk. If you're not reporting rape because you're embarrassed, I don't know. I mean, that's
I
something
think I
that's,
wouldn't make
Stop
I
giving
wouldn't-
awards for participation. Like,
that's another thing. Yeah.
no,
It is
seriously.
amazing.
Like, you need to
That's amazing.
Earn
make
it,
your
earn it.
kids grow up and be accountable.
Yeah.
That's
There's
amazing.
only
Yeah,
one winner.
you're right. Period.
That's
No
it.
more losing
Deal with
trophies.
it.
When you
No
go
more
to the
losing
Olympics,
trophies.
do they all get medals?
Only 3 of them do, and they're all
No,
different
no.
colors.
But that's the thing. It's actually teaching them not how the world runs. That's the problem. The world doesn't run that way.
Right.
Right. There's you want to get to school. There are 500 candidates and only 5 spots.
Yeah.
That's all there is. And
They
you're
used
gonna-
to tell us in high school. They used to be like, "You guys, you know what? You're being babied here, but the second you walk out of high school,
yeah.
you're going to go into university, and your
I was
prof
actually shocked when I
does
left Chat
not
and I went to
give
New
a
York.
shit. He gets his paycheck. He comes to work. He does
Yeah.
his thing. Whether you show up, whether you take notes, whether you do well,
Right.
He
doesn't
doesn't care.
change his
Right.
world.
By the way, I teach exactly like that. I mean, I know I teach younger kids,
Doesn't
but
matter.
that's my attitude.
It's hard to teach that the world doesn't baby you when the world is actually in fact
Baby.
baby
A
you.
big baby.
No, I think it's only North America that's baby.
But
Yes.
yes, but it's happening here.
That's
Yeah.
why.
But
everyone's
you're talking
coming
about look at Europe. I mean, over there
in the media.
they have.
Does
That's,
Fox News baby you?
well, they talk to us. They think they're smarter than us, even though they're.
Fox News does not baby
I don't
you.
know.
CNN does. Maybe CBC and like CTV and all those like other like news outlets.
So, getting on that, and I want to talk about the media as my final thought. So, want to finish off? Want to talk about the Me Too?
I'm all for social betterment. However you go about improving the ills of society, whatever they may be. Generally speaking, hashtags don't.
Save lives.
Hashtags don't solve problems, and very little good has come from using hashtags to represent any kind of
Movement.
Now, I'm not saying that nothing good can come of this, but generally, turning something into a trend isn't probably the best way to go about it.
Do you think it takes away from its validity?
Not from its validity. I mean, on the plus side, it gives strength to people.
That shouldn't have it.
Not necessarily shouldn't have it, but may not have come forward or spoke their mind regardless or without it.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, we don't know because of that who's coming forward, what their intentions are.
Yeah.
And there is the sense of the importance and significance of this being diluted somewhat by the trend.
Yeah.
And we don't want that overshadowing the issue itself.
I think it's where society is at now. If you're looking at it like, what do kids want to be? They want to be, back in the day, a firefighter, like, they, or whatever, like, imagine, and then they grow older, like, they want to be celebrities. They want to be all these, things that we see in the magazines. And these are not real, and it's what the media is feeding us, and it's like all these tabloids.
Yeah, but we're also guilty of that because we feed into it. Because if
No,
there's
of course
nobody paying attention to them,
Hello,
then they
we're
wouldn't do
feeding
what
into it
is.
right now.
Right.
We're using social media to
Yes.
bash social media.
Right.
So, right? But it's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like if you could use it as a tool. You could take a knife to cut bread and make yourself a sandwich to live, or you could take the same knife and cut yourself and kill yourself. Right? The question is, are we being smart enough to teach people and let them know that this is a tool that should be used for good and not for bad? Are we talking about it? Or are we saying,
You can.
here, you figure it out?
You can.
It's a butter knife.
Sorry?
It's a butter
I
knife.
can kill you with a butter knife. I
You
give it a
can't.
pack of it.
You can't. You know what? You just can't cover everybody. You just can't.
No, but are we doing a good enough job, like talking the way Karen same way Karen just spoke, like, let's stop babying our society. Like, we have to grow some nuts.
I think that there's a term right now.
Be
which is
responsible for our
Just
actions.
The millennial. There's such it's so derogatory to say you're a millennial.
Yeah.
And
It came from somewhere. It came
I
from
say it
somewhere.
all the time.
Yeah, because it came from
I
somewhere.
have no
You do
patience.
know you're
Because there's a lot of
millennial, too.
entitlement.
I actually get
I am not a
offended.
millennial.
I get
I am
offended.
not. We're not.
81.
Just missed
No,
it.
79.
Yeah, you're not millennial.
We're not
I'm
millennials.
millennial.
There's
Oh, you're
there's
not?
a-
How old are
I
you
think it's
guys?
like
You guys are
84.
old.
No, there's a Gen X
Or-
between Gen X and.
I actually get offended when they call me a millennial.
Oh,
I'm like, I am so not a
shit.
millennial.
You're actually
I
not.
will lose
Actually,
my
I know my brother is.
I think you are a millennial.
I am. Like
I
by,
think you're
by,
like-
the,
you're
by,
literally-
the, by the terms I
Yeah,
am. But
or
by the
84, I
number,
think
I'm
is the
84. But
But
by the
but she's from a second world country too. So.
Right. Third world. They're not communists.
second, we're not that bad.
What do you mean second? Second is communists.
No.
Yes.
Are we
yes,
communists?
Are we?
Yes. All right. So
Oh, look, it's my children's school calling. Wonder
That's-
what he did.
that's
I actually
fantastic.
should pick up.
That's
you should pick up while we're doing this. So we're about to wrap up.
Hello?
Clearly, we're dealing with real issues here. Thank you,
What
everybody,
did
for
we do?
tuning in. Hopefully, you learned something. I mean, clearly, it's a complicated conversation to have. But let's be honest with ourselves. Like, we have to know what the difference between rape is, difference in assault, and we can't be crying wolf all the time because at some point we'll stop caring, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just something that, in my opinion, where, oh, here's another story. Here's another band that something happened 20 years ago when they were doing drugs and drinking and having a good time, that maybe something happened. But there should be a difference between, as I said, rape, assault, sexual harassment, or, we don't know what somebody's intentions are. So if you guys are looking to make a difference and you were offended by anything that we said, we apologize.
Hello?
But at the end of
No, it's my opinion. I'm not apologizing for anything.
well, somebody is offended by it.
By what? I haven't said anything that targets a group that is remotely racist or
What if somebody thinks you don't represent other women?
I'm not
What if
trying
somebody
to.
says that here's these two ladies
I'm not
who
trying
don't represent
to.
their voice,
That's fine.
and
You,
they wanted to hear the specific
she
voice.
can say you and me, two different opinions.
Forced apologies. That's a topic for another time.
Forced
I'm not
apologies.
apologizing. I didn't say anything to target anybody. If you and I have different points of views, which Karen and I seem to do, and we're still friends and we're still sitting on the same couch, we'll be fine.
I'll catch you outside. I catch you
I'll
outside.
catch you outside.
outside.
I mean, I couldn't
Social
even do
media
it
is
so
not
bad.
not impacting us at all.
At all.
All right. Well, thank you till next time. We'll see you next Friday. I believe our conversation is going to be gun control.
My husband will be.
That's a big one. Yeah. So we'd love to hear his opinions, and we'll see if people will still shop at his place after his opinions. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry we went late again, but on behalf of Sean, thank you Karen for being here. Thank you Miss Atias for being here. I'm Ron, and we'll see you next week at the Prickly Pear Show. Mira will be back in about 2 weeks, so get used to this face right here. Cheers.
Bye, y'all.